Camera, all professionally installed for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right, welcome aboard, baby. Yes, sir. Coming to you live from Acura Pembroke Pines here. There's my man, Sean Stanley. Yes, sir. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. We are out here having some fun. Come on by and say hi. We'll be out here for the next couple of hours. We got a loaded show for you. And yes, it is a little bit of a later start for us today because last night I was in Tampa. You know, I have priorities in life. You know, Alarmo has priorities. They try to protect your home there at Sloman's Home Shield. Me, whenever Iron Maiden comes to the state of Florida, well, you know, I've got requirements. And those requirements are I've got to attend. And so there you go. So we went to the concert last night at the Amalie Center. So there you go. That's not bad. It's pretty good. I don't know. I know it's kind of delayed, and there we go. Okay. Wow. You got the touch, bro. Like, how'd you just center like that? Wow, that was nice. That was nice. Because he has the screen. He's not really looking at the screen while he was doing all that, you know, fidgeting around and everything. So anyway, so we had a good time last night. Saw some listeners. You know, one thing that's changed, bro. Like, I did radio. I've done radio in this town now for 30 years. We're going to complete our 33rd year. And you would get noticed when I was at QAM a little bit. But, dude, now that you do, like, YouTube every single day and everybody sees your face all the time, it's like, all over the place. You're like, don't get, like, yesterday, I'm at the concert. I'm at the Iron Maiden concert in Tampa, okay? All right? So the Klansman is playing, in the first encore. And it goes into Run to the Hills. Now, I've seen Iron Maiden like 30 times, right? We got there late. We had 3 different traffic jams on the way there. It took us 5.5 hours to get to Tampa. No, it had nothing to do with storm or anything like that. It was just accidents or whatever. Brutal drive to Tampa, dude. We left at 2. We got there literally at 7:30 when the opening act was starting. So, I like to get my Iron Maiden shirt when I go to a concert. And, brother, the line was 150 yards long on both sides of the arena. So I said, forget it. We're going to have to get it after the show. But then this is the last show of the tour. So guess what happens? They run out of material because they only order so much, which is smart, of course. And so I said, well, you know what? I'm going to go. I've seen Iron Maiden like 30 times. So I've seen Run to the Hills a crap ton of times. So like halfway through Klansman, I start walking off of the floor up the thing. And then as Klansman's finishing, I go to the shirts. Sure enough, no line. So I get my shirts, come back. I miss most of about half of Run to the Hills. And then see the rest of Run to the Hills. And then the second encore is Aces High, which I did not want to miss Aces High. They don't really do that in every single tour. So I wanted to see Aces High. So there you go. And we got our shirts. And then, yeah, the road trip back was smooth. No traffic jams whatsoever. Oh, man. I think I got in bed by 5 a.m. And then I woke up at 10 and, prepared. And then here I am. So there you go. We got a loaded show for you. Craig Mish is going to stop by 1:15. Ira Winderman will stop by 1:30. We'll have Joe Shad at 2 o'clock. We'll have Marcel Louis-Jacques at 2:30. Scott Pianowski answers your fantasy questions at 3, and Manny Navarro at 3:30. So we've got an absolutely loaded show for you. Tomorrow we'll be at Walk-Ons in Kendall for your Hurricanes pre- and post-game show. We'll have Perdomo prizes. We'll be giving away cigar lighters and cutters. We'll be giving away Caneswear gift certificates. We'll be giving away Edge Energy Drink, one of our proud sponsors. They'll be giving away test tasting, and the lovely lady from Edge is going to be there. She's a knockout. And we're also going to have a free beer tasting also at Walk-Ons in Kendall. So, listen, man, why are you going to be home for the Virginia game? Come on over to Walk-Ons. The food is amazing. The servers are fantastic. So you're really going to enjoy it. So I encourage you that if you can, come on out to Walk-Ons in Kendall. We'd appreciate it immensely and load it up. Plus, you might walk away with some prizes. Big O, you sure know how to live. I'd be fascinated to hear more of your crazy concert stories. Peter, have you been listening to the show? I guess you just got on. I don't know if you're new to the program, but I've told many crazy concert stories over the years. You just gotta follow every day. There's 2 different kinds of followers on our show. I've noticed this. There are the ones that say, I just want this segment, I want that segment, and that's it, because obviously Sean Stanley, a la cartes it the way a lot of people want. And then there are the hardcore people that listen to the show, not just the interviews, but they listen in between and the things that go on, whatever it is, jokes or rants or whatever it is, that kind of stuff. So they kind of follow the show. They know where we're going to appear. They know if we're going to go to a concert. They know where we're going to appear at a live event, whether we're at Hialeah Park, whether we're here at Acura Pembroke Pines, whether, we're going to be at Walk-Ons, you name it. And so there's 2 different kinds of listeners, because I run into it on Twitter. It's like, yeah, when are you going to be on? Well, I can tell that you're not really listening to the show. You're listening to segments. So, it's crazy. What do we got here? Big O, I hope you and Sean and Chad are having a great day. Thank you. We are blessed. We are, we have another day that we get to enjoy, and I get to enjoy today the Reverend Horton Heat. Tonight, where is it? I think Revolution Live I'm going to tonight. I think I'm going to the Revolution Live tonight. I'm going to another concert. And so if you are going to go see the Reverend Horton Heat, I will be there hanging out. I'm going to be there also. Jeff Welt is going to be there from Welt and Rayom. Our Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. He's a big fan, so we're going to go. Jerry Lee Lewis passed away, for real? Or is that a joke? Because it was a fake death the other day with Jerry Lee Lewis, and he was alive. So I'm not sure if you're falling for the joke of 2 days ago, because TMZ misreported that Jerry Lee Lewis was dead, and he wasn't dead. So I'm not sure. But, Facebook facts, they happen. Huh? Yeah, he's alive. Yeah, okay. So he's alive. Yeah, see, that's the problem. ED. Did he pass or not? So now CBS reports it. So he was dying when TMZ reported it, but he wasn't dead yet. And then okay. You know what it was? It was the Big O reporting that iHeart stole the Dolphins from Odyssey, but before the ink had dried, they had to go public because I reported it. So it's the same thing like there. Now, sometimes, you get the information before the information is about to happen. You know what I mean? Like Flo getting fired. Although predicting death is pretty good. What?
This might be a typo.
Okay, so what's up?
But it says, breaking, Jerry Lee Lewis, the early rock and roll star who skyrocketed to fame with a string of hits in the 1950s, had died. Not has, it says had died.
So then did TMZ get it right? And
his publicist confirmed to CBS News. I'm trying to.
So then
I got to go back through and see, but I don't know if that's a typo. It could be just a typo, but the way they worded it said had died.
TMZ normally nails it on the
Pretty
deaths.
good, yeah.
They're usually like perfect pretty much on deaths. Usually when they go and they report the death, it usually happens. But 2 days ago they reported it, and then they had to then retract and said that he didn't die or whatever, and so now CBS is saying he had died. He had died. Anybody remember Neil Rogers? He died. Big O, happy Friday to everybody. We have college NFL football every day for the next 26 days straight. Best time of the year. Yes, sir. What do we got? Oh, he's ready to go? All right, let's rock and roll, baby. Let's step in to the Welt and Rayom batter's box with Mr. Craig Mish.
Time to step in the batter's box with one of the best insiders covering Major League Baseball and the Miami Marlins, Craig Mish. The batter's box is brought to you by Welt and Rayom Attorneys at Law. Personal injury, bankruptcy, or criminal defense. Call for a free consultation. 954-966-4646 or go online at WRFLAlaw.com. Here's insider Craig Mish.
All right. There he is, the Mishmeister. And, of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Craig Mish. And also, you can get his podcast, Swings and Mishes. And, of course, the Sports Grid. He is on there twice a day, rocking and rolling. What is it, 10 to 11, 2 to 4? What are the
11 to 12.
11 to 12.
And then 2 to 4. So I have a show coming, or 2 to 3. I have a show coming up now.
There you go. See, so he works for a living, like some of us. So is it, are we going F1 or are we going, is it Schumacher or Shoemaker?
Oh, the manager's Schumacher. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are going F1. Okay, so it is a Schumacher. Okay, all right. Your thoughts on Schumacher, a team that you have a lot of insight on all the time with the St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah, I think that they were really looking for someone who is going to be a clubhouse leader, somebody that could kind of control everything going on the field with the Marlins. They really just wanted someone who can step in and have the respect of the players on the team, be willing to make a lot of hard decisions, and somebody who had a lot of experience as a player with having to grind. Oh, I know that, I respect that. I'm sure you do too. And they would like to get more players like that who basically are playing for their baseball lives, and they want Schumacher to instill that hard work ethic, great base running, bat to ball skills. And so obviously the talent is going to be the most important thing, but at least the first step is getting the guy that they wanted. I think that's the important thing here. And, he'll have a press conference next week and we'll see what happens.
Can you pull that off with a low payroll? Can you pull that kind of stuff off? Can you keep people playing hard when you don't win? Because we're asking somebody to do something that is kind of tough if you don't give him the environment he needs in order to create that.
Well, it also depends on the kind of player that you're acquiring, I think. And I think maybe part of the Marlins plan could potentially be making trades for players who are about to become free agents in a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And Orlando, at that point, they're playing for contracts. You don't even have to ask the question as to whether or not that season is important to them. Where I definitely feel like where they feel things have gone sour is free agency. And they're going to have to go back out there eventually again, whether it's this year or next year, and try again. But very clearly, at least the main free agent that they signed was extremely comfortable going into the season, out of shape and just collecting the money. I mean, maybe by the end of the season, he was a little remorseful.
Who was that? Was that Gonzalo Higuain? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't follow soccer, right?
Oh, no. I have no idea.
That the same thing happened to Inter Miami's one of their DPs. They're allowed 3 DPs. Although Miami was trying to creative in the first year, and they tried to get 5 DPs in there, and that's why they were fined. And but outside that, normally it's 3 DPs, and those are international players that you can add, right? And so Gonzalo was a star in Europe, and he came over and he was out of shape. And he literally told the reporters, I'm just going to come out here, hang out, smoke cigarettes, and score goals. And he struggled like a mother. He was terrible. And then this year he finally came, in shape and his best year on his way out. So it's just funny that you would talk about a star that they signed and the guy gets there and, he's out of shape. So it's amazing.
Yeah, Avisail Garcia was who I was alluding to.
I know.
So we'll see. I mean, I again, can he win? Like, what do you define by winning? Can he win 90 games? No. Right. But can they be competitive in the sense that they make a big jump over last year? I think anything is on the table. But based on the current roster that they have right now, I would challenge going into next year that they would be much better than this year. Even though they've mentioned injuries and things like that, I don't know. I feel like, the players that were injured last year are healthiest this year, and the players that were healthy last year are injured this year. This is sports. So I definitely am not counting on anything like that.
Let me tie Inter Miami and the Miami Marlins once again. Well, they have, 3 DPs. One of them is Pozuelo, and they're going to keep him. He's a good player. Higuain's going to retire. The other one is Pizarro that they're dying to unload so they can open up a DP spot and go buy another international player, possibly Messi next summer.
Heard that one.
Well, right, exactly. So can I pray that the DP for the Marlins, Aguilar says, not Soler, I'm sorry, says, I'm going to opt out of this. I could get a better deal somewhere else. Can I pray that DP goes away and that money becomes available and maybe they can use it on somebody else? Or is he, because it's opt-in deals every year on his part, correct?
It is.
Oh.
It is.
And what's he doing? Is he opting in?
I'm sure. I would be stunned if he opted out.
Damn it. I mean, I got to hope for a couple little things here, Mishmeister.
Maybe.
I need some kind of hope to help me, I
got it for you.
Okay. Oh, please.
His agent is Vince Carter, is Vashawn Leonard's agent. How about that?
Okay. All right.
Remember what happened there?
Vashawn Leonard?
Was it Vashawn Leonard that I'm thinking of?
No, you're thinking Anthony Carter, I think.
Anthony Carter. I was going to say Vince Carter, but it was Anthony Carter. Okay. That was the whole that was probably a once in a lifetime thing. Have you heard of anything since then?
No.
Forgetting to sign the paperwork?
No. Yeah. I mean, Oh, so what you're saying is, hold on. So what you're saying is, if I put out a GoFundMe page, have a couple people kidnap his agent, there's a possibility that Soler does not opt in and we can kick him out. Is that what you're saying?
He's got to opt in.
Okay.
But I don't think anything happens except for he just says I'm just opting in. So
Well, kidnap Soler and his agent, ladies and gentlemen, and the Marlins will free up some money. That's
it's
all
not
I got
even
to
really
say.
Soler. I mean, if you think about it, Soler's the kind of guy that you're going to probably have to go get again in free agency and hope that he does well. It's Garcia that they gave that money to.
I know, but you're locked into that one.
Not as much as Garcia, Orlando. Not as much.
That's what I'm saying. You're locked into the Garcia one. I can't get out of that one. There's no
I got
option
you.
this year.
I got you.
My only hope is to free up money with Soler. Okay, so then trades is what you've talked about.
Yes.
Will they be active in moving some of their pieces to try to acquire other pieces? What are you hearing in that department? I want a reason to watch, bro. I want a reason. I don't want it to just be Sandy, and Jazz and a couple things out there. And I want a team that has a chance.
I
Bro.
know. So you want a team that has a chance? Of course, so do I.
No, I know you do more than any of us.
Yeah. So I think that it's a wait and see. Any conversation that I've had with anyone in the organization in the last 2+ weeks has been about the manager, and that's going to change pretty quickly. So as we go, I'll get more on that. But they were so focused on this that it's hard for me to predict anything else. Do I think they're going to make trades? Of course, but I got to be transparent. I thought they would make more trades last offseason. They did not. So we'll see.
Did this process go faster than you expected? Because when we talked about it 2 weeks ago, it kind of felt like it was going to be a process because they were going to interview a whole bunch of people, and within 2 weeks, boom, they closed the door on this guy.
Yeah, well, I think that I know that once they interviewed Schumacher, they knew that he was a finalist, and then it came down to deciding between him and deciding between who am I missing? Matt Quattaro.
Oh, he froze? Oh, he froze. All right, he is frozen in time. There he is. Yeah, he is frozen in time. So now we will unfreeze him, hopefully, and then right now he is Han Solo. He's Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back. Jabba the Hutt has frozen him. Now we have unfrozen him. You are no longer in the cryo.
Is it my internet? Is it really?
You were in the cryo, whatever.
My internet today? Wow. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I'm hosting shows.
We didn't put you in the cryo thing. It was Jabba the Hutt.
My bad. Let me X out of some things. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Weird.
Okay. All right. So then you said it was down to Schumacher, and then you mentioned another guy, a couple guys there.
Quattaro, bench coach of the Rays. Luis Rojas, third base coach of the Yankees. Joe Espada, bench coach of the Astros. Those were the finalists. Final four.
Okay. All right. So trades at least. So let's hope that they're able. And they're going to trade for young pieces, is what you're thinking, right?
Not necessarily. I think again, it's my opinion that they trade for players that are basically playing on the last year or second to last year of their contracts, that are playing toward free agency, playing with something to prove.
Okay. Yeah. Those are good, and they're dangerous. Because if they've been underachievers up until this point, you worry about that guy that kills himself to have that 1 year just to get that contract, and then you wonder, oh my God, is he going to regress back to that? So that sounds a little dangerous.
No, By the way, it's hard. Listen, even with the money, it is hard for them to attract free agents here. People think it's the easiest thing. It's impossible. Nobody wants to play here.
Yeah. All right, let me switch gears here. Were you surprised with the Yankees?
No, I told you they were not going anywhere.
I'm sorry.
Going nowhere from the beginning.
No, but were you surprised that they choked like that with all four like that?
No, not at all. Not at all. Houston hasn't lost a game in the postseason yet.
Okay. Well, I'm just, they're poor Yankee fans are wondering hundreds and billions of dollars in payroll.
They ran into the Astros. The Yankees will be right back next year, and they're going to lose to the Astros again unless they really fix the way that they do things. The Yankees, in order to win a World Series, have to have a hot lineup, like Philadelphia. You have to have that at some point. They did in April, May, June, and into July. And then, boom, went in the crapper. Judge was the only one hitting.
Right.
That's not a recipe for success long term. It's a recipe for a short period of success. The Phillies are showing it right now. Who knows? Maybe the Phillies don't score a run in the World Series. I have no idea. But whoever is hot at the right time wins. The Yankees were lucky to get through Cleveland. They barely beat them.
Yeah. No, I got you. By the way, are the Phillies the 03 Marlins?
No, they're every team that's won the World Series recently. The Atlanta Braves, 88 wins last year. The Washington Nationals were under 500 2 years ago. They won. They absolutely could win the World Series. They could. It's a great story.
What I mean is the hot team, because that's what the Marlins were from May 1st on.
I mean, Orlando, the Braves were the hot team last year. The Nationals were the hot team in 2000.
But the Marlins did that first, okay? So I'm using the Marlins.
Yeah, it's not. I don't
use
think
the Marlins as an example here, bro.
It
got
seems
nothing
like
to hang our hat on as Marlins fans. Let me hang my hat on 03 at least, bro. Just
you can listen. You can hang your hat on it, but Pudge left the year after that, and that was the end of it. But
I know. Why you break my heart all the time?
I think they have a chance for sure. I would not discount them having a chance. And I think that obviously winning one game in Houston has to happen. But I will add for, this show and all the other shows that I've been doing, the Astros have not lost a game yet in the postseason. Is it going to happen? And is Philadelphia going to beat them 4 out of 7 times? This team that has not won.
Is there a Bateman to get in the way? Is there a Cruz to get confused? Come on, tell me. Talk to me. I mean, that's what the Phillies need. The Phillies need some extra magic like the Marlins had. That's all. They need a couple of breaks here or there, and you never know. It changes. But but you bring up a great point. I didn't think about it. Like, I'm thinking just local to turn it local and saying, are they the Marlins? But you're right about the Nationals, and you're right about the Braves. They didn't go in there with 100 and something wins, and they were dominant and all that. No, they got hot at the right time. And so, these are the things you think that Philly's going to have to do in order to win this one.
I do. Hopefully JT gets a ring. I'm rooting for him, no doubt.
Yeah, I think the world is rooting for the Phillies in a way, right?
Definitely.
Because nobody wants to see the Astros win.
Great team.
It's a great team. It's a great organization. Obviously, they overcame the cheating. And by doing this, they in a way, this is a kind of this. They have to do this in a way as an organization to kind of overcome that whole cheating thing and say, hey, say whatever you guys want. We're great no matter what you say. And after all that stuff, we went on to win the World Series. So I think it's almost like a must for their story, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the fascinating part about Houston is that, like most people do, like you, they bring up the cheating, and which is fair. But let's talk about that a bit. Brian McCann and Carlos Beltran and Josh Reddick and George Springer and Michael Brantley and Garrett Cole. I mean, we can keep going. They're not on the team anymore, and they're still winning a million games. Like, what does it tell you? Like, they probably didn't even need to do what they did to win.
Right.
I have a ton of respect for them, but I got a buddy on the team of Philadelphia. I got to root for them. I got a buddy on the Astros too. I got a couple actually on the Astros, but I'm really hoping that JT Realmuto gets a ring.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. What are you working on over at the Sports Grid, my brother, so folks can check you out, man?
Yeah, 2:00 Eastern, we'll do the NFL picks of the week. We got that coming up here. So a Friday with you. So that's sort of rare. A Friday, of course, on my show there, no doubt. And, obviously the fantasy show every day, 11 a.m. Eastern. And come next week on Thursday, I'll be covering the Skip Schumacher press conference. And I believe everyone is going to speak at that. Kim Eng and Bruce Sherman and Skip, clearly. So I think that we're going to get a lot of good stuff from next Thursday. I'm looking forward to that.
Thursday, what time are they doing that?
I think in the morning.
Okay. All right, interesting. All right, good stuff. Mishmeister, as always, appreciate you, my brother. Have a fantastic weekend and enjoy the baseball.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a great weekend to you and everybody out there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. We step out of the batter's box.
You've been listening to the Batter's Box with MLB and Marlins insider Craig Mish. The Batter's Box is brought to you by Welton Rayom Attorneys at Law. Personal injury, homeowners, or condo property damage, bankruptcy, or criminal defense. Call for a free consultation at 954-966-4646 or go online at WRFLA.com. Download any episode by subscribing to our podcast at Big O Radio Show on most platforms.
All right. We got a loaded show. We're going to talk to Ira Winderman now in a minute here. Joe Shad will follow up in the hour number 2. We'll have Marcel Louis-Jacques. Hour number 3, Scott Pianowski will answer your fantasy football questions at 3 o'clock. Remember, right now on the chat board, if you put the fantasy football question now, it's going to disappear with hundreds of messages coming in. And thank you, by the way. We're blessed for all of that. But the best way so I can see your fantasy football question is really through our chat board, through our Welt and Rayom chat board at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. And we're out here at Craig Zinn's, Acura Pembroke Pines, baby. Come on out here and join us. It's the Halloween Spooktacular. They're going to do anything and everything to get you in to a great deal here. The 2023 Integra, it is super sharp. They've got it right now. Lease features at $399 a month. The 2023 MDX, folks, $750 cash back, loyal savings. 2022 RDX, they've got those out there too. Loyalty savings of $1,000. Come on out. Got a large selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. The legend that is Larry Schlossberg is right here. He's in the house. He will even jam a little. Will you do a little eruption from Van Halen? Eruptions, erections, everything. It's all done here at Craig Zinn's. You will have an erection with the kind of deal you're going to get. I mean, you're going to feel horny. You know, it's just the savings are going to make you explode. It's just the way it is here at Craig Zinn's Acura Pembroke Pines. So come on down and get a happy ending, man. That's what it's all about. You drive off the lot. That's the happy ending you want right there. You got a brand new vehicle. Don't you love that new car smell? Oh, and a new car performance from Acura. Come on, baby. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, let's have some fun. See? Larry Schlossberg's the kind of guy you want to have some fun with. No, see, literally, he has his Les Paul right there and an amplifier. I've had him on the show jamming. I've done that before. He has his own band, by the way. And remember, you can make a donation to the show through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. And Carlos Ooze, thank you, sir, for the love on Cash App. I appreciate you as always. All right, let's get ready for the man, the myth, the legend. That is Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
All right, there he is. How you feeling, Ira? You feeling good?
After last night, not so good. And after seeing the Heat trying to play Jimmy Butler at center and realizing how small they are, the Lilliputians, maybe not so good. You know what?
They hung in there, man. They hung in there.
No, they were, look, Big O, it was a 3-point game against the defending world champions on the second night of a back-to-back with 6 minutes and 11 seconds to go.
And they're not better than them.
Right.
You know?
I mean, they competed, and I tried to ask the question line after the game in the locker room to Eric Spoelstra, hey, I know there's no moral victories, but does this show who you can be? And it does. And that's why, Big O, you could look at 4-2 and go, the sky is falling. I look at 4-2 and saying, hey, they've been competitive right through. They've had their moments.
2-4, by the way. 2-4.
2-4, rather. I'm sorry, 2-4. They're competitive. They've had their moments. They'll get to that 2 games over 500 soon enough. They're not in an awful place. They're still learning a little bit about themselves. But I will say this. They're doing it the hard way. And when you do it the hard way, as an undersized team, without superstars but good players, everything has to go right. In Portland, it all clicked, and we saw that, what they could look like at their best. But man, there is such a small margin of error for this team. The one thing about this team, Eric Spoelstra can mitigate with his coaching a lot of that small margin of error because he can outcoach other teams.
You know, it reminds me somewhat of what the Panthers and Paul Maurice is trying to do now, where you're changing the style of play, where it's not so open out, where it's a little bit more tight, it's more physical, and it's an adjustment that they're making too in this process. And I know they have a better record, but they're still not playing to their potential either because of the adjustment of the play that they're going through, the more physical style now through 3 periods compared to that fast attacking style that allowed them to have, all kinds of, comfortable leads, at times, questionable defense, but this is a different kind of game. So it's almost an adjustment. But when I look at the Heat, what I'm seeing so far early on is there are 2 guys you can count on. And then there's like this hodgepodge. Like last night, Tyler had a shitty night. And you know what? Unfortunately, Tyler, my brother, they can't afford for you to have a shitty night because they don't have enough consistency everywhere else. You can't ask Lowry to be a consistent scorer. You can't ask Caleb yet to be the guy. Look, Caleb had a nice night the night before, did not have one last night. And so it's so imperative for them to have a supporting cast that actually supports. And right now, I'm just seeing a lot of inconsistencies around Butler and Bam.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, even if you get the best of Caleb Martin, even if you get the best of 36-year-old Kyle Lowry, even if you get the best of one-way, no defense Tyler Hero, that's why the margin is so small, because you need so many players, honestly, Big O, to be at their best. You need 20-point Tyler Hero. You need Caleb Martin being the active player he was in the victory in Portland. Look, they played 5 games. They've had 2.5 good Kyle Lowry games. You know what, Big O? At 36 years old, that's sort of what you get. And I don't mean to diminish the legacy, but we even saw it with Dwayne Wade when he came back and he played as a reserve. It wasn't every night Dwayne Wade anymore.
But we knew that was coming. He paid his dues. He brought you 3 titles.
Understood.
You know what I'm saying? Like Kyle Lowry's done nothing except ask for $90 million. So,
but you got to move past the contract because that's done. So right or wrong, he's here. You can lament the contract. You can say, and I know just like in Ndamukong Suh, when you were on that also, you said bad contract. Boom, the moment it was done. So I put it this way.
I mean, it happens.
I'll put it this way. I'll put you in the win column.
I can't get off of that because that cap space could be a better player on a that could give you more consistency night in and night out. It's just it's turning into a bad contract and you can't move from it, and that sucks.
And that's the thing. It's the price to pay. I'll give you an example, Big O. Max Strus has been very good so far this season, and he's showing that he's another developmental project keeper. And Max Strus is going to be a free agent after this season. And you're going to get into that push-pull again of how much is too much for a player like Max Strus. And you know what, Big O? He's going to get a Tyler Johnson-like contract offer from somewhere else.
No doubt.
And it's going to make you pause and say to yourself, do we match it or do we lose it? Can we keep him or can't we? That's always the decision you make. The one thing about the Heat that I know you appreciate, I appreciate, is they live in the moment. We've talked about that before in our accurate Pembroke Pines reports, how this team goes for it. They're not talking about the Victor Wembanyama lottery this year. They're talking about getting to the playoffs. The problem for the Heat is when you live in the moment and you pay in the moment, sometimes you're absolutely right, Big O. It comes back to bite you in the butt. And obviously with the Kyle Lowry thing, they're not getting a $30 million payoff from him. They're getting a nice $12 million payoff from him. And so you have to work around it. But man, Jimmy Butler was great last night. Bam Adebayo was peak efficiency last night. And it just shows you against a team, the quality of the Warriors, how everyone else, the Heroes, the Lowrys, the Struses, have to be on top of their game for this team to compete. How often can you get that? For the Heat, the answer is going to have to be very often this season. There is no plan B.
By the way, at the end of the year, if they do have to give Strus a contract, are we talking about luxury tax now?
This is going to be a luxury tax team once you sign Tyler Hero to that extension, the 4-year, $130 million with including incentive extension. You're going to be there anyway. So you've decided this is you for now. In the short term, you only have 1 year left on Kyle Lowry after this year. You're going to be paying Bam. You're going to be paying Tyler. You're going to be paying Jimmy. Is that enough? And then you have to get ancillary pieces. Here's the problem. Max Strus right now is being paid like an ancillary piece, so it's fine. When you're paid more, it becomes problematic, Duncan Robinson. And then you wind up getting into that deal where you try to pay an ancillary piece, Duncan Robinson, an elite player salary, and you sort of get trapped there. So I guess the question with me is, as much as I enjoy what Max is doing, as much as he clearly has been an upgrade this year on Duncan Robinson, I have to say to myself, can I honestly picture Max Strus as a starter for an NBA championship team? And if you can't, folks, I think you have to pull back a little also and maybe reduce those expectations and maybe accept the fact you're going to have to move on. You know what's interesting, Big O? I never would have considered this before.
Wait a minute. But I'm not moving on if I can move Duncan to then pay.
If you can. Sure.
Okay, because that's what because, again, when you guys bring up this crazy-ass deal, then all of a sudden now it starts to make sense. Lowry and Duncan for Russell Westbrook, that kind of, I might do that because if it frees up money from Lowry at the end of the year and it frees me up that I can re-sign Strus,
and
now
Vincent,
we're talking.
And Yurtsevin, that you can have the flexibility.
Aren't you 2 years away from Yurtsevin?
Yurtsevin, no, is going to become a free agent this summer. He's in there also. It's Vincent, Yurtsevin, and Strus. It's going to be an interesting summer. And again, it's going to be one of those interesting ancillary Heat summers of ancillary players. None of them is a superstar. This is not a guy who's going to reform your team, but you need these kind of players also. But Big O, here's the other part of it, and it's exactly what the Lakers are going through out there in Los Angeles with LeBron James. Is it fair to waste an older player's season? You've spoken about this with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler at 33 years old. This is his window. This is his time. So if you do trade your leading point guard, if you do trade a possible roster component just for future salary cap space, is that fair to a player like Jimmy Butler? So you do have to weigh that also. Let's face it, Big O. If you trade Robinson and Lowry to the Lakers just for the cap space you're getting by buying out Russell Westbrook, you're punting on this season.
Yeah.
Is that fair to a player like Jimmy Butler, who has gotten you to the NBA Finals three seasons ago and got you within one game of the Finals last season? Do you maybe owe him a little more at his age, just like they're saying out in Los Angeles at 38 years old with LeBron James?
Yeah, but here's the question I have for you.
Sure.
If you're – are you really doing anything this year? So if you're really not competing this year and you're not going to have a shot at a title, you're actually doing Jimmy a favor by saying, well, listen, this allows us to go get a better player for you for next year. And this year, come on, man, you're not better than a bunch of teams right now.
Yeah, but Big O, at this point last year, when the Heat, I think, were in 6th or 7th place and Chicago was leading the NBA Eastern Conference, we didn't think that either. And then all of a sudden, I kept coming back in these accurate Pembroke Pines reports, and the Heat win the first round, and they win the second round, and they're ahead in the third round, and they're one shot from the championship. The one thing I will say about this team is I've learned never to doubt with Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg. So I'm not punting on a season 2 weeks in, and I'm not probably punting on a season on the trading deadline because these guys find a way. Big O, should this team have been in the 2020 NBA Finals? I know the bubble was unique.
Yeah, but that was a bubble. That was a unique.
But they got there. Should this team have been within one shot against a really, really good Celtics team to get to the NBA Finals? Probably not, but they found a way. So
I ask you this.
Sure.
Is this team better than those teams?
You know what? I'm gonna take the dodge here, okay? This team is different. I don't know.
Yeah, it has no power. That's why Jimmy's playing center.
And I wrote about that.
Around and PJ Tucker's not around, and it puts a burden on your ass.
Yeah, I mean, look, last night, 50-31 on the boards, destroyed last night. But they were destroyed, Big O, in October. Now you go back to school. Now you figure what you can do. Maybe your guy, Big Yurt, gets his minutes. Maybe Nikola Jovic plays more with Bam, and you do go bigger. What I'm saying is it's just too early to give up on the possibilities. Again, I will take Eric Spoelstra on that show on Food Network Chopped, and he's opening up his basket, and he has lizard tails, and he has yak jelly, and he has nothing to make a savory dessert, but he finds a way. So we have to be careful. This is why we do our Acura Pembroke Pines reports twice a week, so we can gradually look as the season builds through the year. I'm not giving up on it because I think Eric Spoelstra is going to go to that convection oven, is going to get his confectioner sugar, and is going to come up with something quite tasty come March and April.
Let's hope so, man. They've got Sacramento at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Why such a short West Coast swing, by the way?
Because, one, there aren't that many West Coast teams, which is why the league wants to go to Vegas and wants to go to Seattle, because the Heat are playing both LA teams the first week of January, so they're getting those together. So the only Western Conference teams after these 3 games they aren't playing on the West Coast are just the 2 LA teams. They're going to play Denver, Salt Lake, and Phoenix on that trip in January also. That's why the league wants better balance. That's why they want to go to Vegas. That's why they want to go to Seattle instead of I don't want to say podunk towns. I mean, but let's face it. You're going to Memphis, you're going to Indianapolis, you're going to smaller markets, then maybe they can do better TV ratings wise. So it's just in and out. Tomorrow's weird time is it's sort of an NBA in Europe night. What they're trying to do is the Heat has another one of these at home against San Antonio also later this calendar year. They like to play the game so at 11 o'clock at night, NBA After Dark in Europe, they can expose their product out there. That's why you will see several of these odd Saturday and Sunday start times. I mean, look, I'm going to cover a Sacramento game here out in California at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, on a college football Saturday. This is all part of the NBA marketing machine, and you and I just have to ride along.
No, and one of the things that's pretty cool about the NBA, look, the NFL is sexy to anybody, any day of the week, whatever, any city you're at, whatever, it works. But the NBA is one of the few leagues outside of the NFL. I don't think Major League Baseball or hockey has this, where they can go into towns where there aren't other pro teams or not a lot of pro teams, the Orlandos and the San Antonios of the world or the Sacramentos, and dominate. If I think if hockey and and Major League Baseball are like the only teams in town, it would kind of struggle. It wouldn't have the same kind of pizzazz. The NBA does have a way of having success in places that some of these other leagues outside of the NFL.
And in the right places, and even the NFL, Big O, as you know this, no one goes to games in Jacksonville. That market
you got to be good. You got to be good.
That's why he's playing 2 games a year in London to try to open the internet. That's one team that doesn't care if they give up home games every year with these London games because they know there's not an interest. The NBA in a small market does well for one reason. Because it's a 41 game night, they really become fabric of San Antonio, of Sacramento, of Portland. You can do that. In the NFL, if your team sucks, no matter what Urban Meyer tried to do, I mean, the crowds there in Jacksonville are just awful. It's more, I mean, now tomorrow you'll have Gators and you'll have Bulldogs, Georgia, Florida. The place will be packed. They love good football. They just don't love what the Jaguars are giving them. So that's a little bit of the difference.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be great there in order to really attract people from other parts that are not Jacksonville, that they'll come to see some like in the mid 90s when they were really good with Brunell and all those guys. They had a buzz, they had it going, but outside of that, it's really tough in an area like that. But in most towns, the Jacksonville thing, I've never understood it. I understand it for the XFL. I understand it when you and I were young, when the USFL was, in its heyday. I understand you put teams there for those kind of leagues. I've just never understood the NFL going to smaller cities. They don't need to do that. They need to be in big markets so they can have the corporate money that the big markets bring. You know what I'm saying?
And maybe an exception is Tennessee because Vanderbilt is so bad that you could sort of work in a city like that because they don't have great college football. So I think they've made it work to a degree.
But Nashville's a pretty big town that it's kind of become a destination town.
But it's not a college football town. That's the difference.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, Tennessee is the best team in the state plays in Knoxville. The second best team plays in Memphis, so they can do it a little bit more. I mean, there are people in Jacksonville that would rather drive to see their Gators or even their Bulldogs or other teams. Yeah.
Yeah, amen. In a heartbeat, no doubt. All right, what are you working on the Sun Sentinel, my friend, so folks can check you out?
I wrote about the rebounding, as you referred to, just posted it at sunsentinel.com, 50-31. They've got to be in their top of the game across the boards to get that taken care of. So I posted that today. Did a story. I know we overdo Udonis Haslem, but Big O was really interesting. When he was on the court, ready to go in Portland and make it an official 20th NBA season, He remembered the dying words of his father who told him, I want you to do number 20. I want you to become an icon in this city. And Udonis Haslem said he welled up. So you know what? Create that moment early in the season. We don't need that cheering from the fans like we did in 2020 when it took 3 games before the end of the season to get him on the court. So an emotional read. I try to put perspective on Udonis. I know he's not going to play. I get all of that. And then I did a Sunday story about the NBA Tankathon and how Adam Silver even mentioned maybe that they're going to have to go to relegation, which they're not. You're not going to see an NBA team in Sioux Falls. But with Victor Wembanyama this year being sort of a Tim Duncan, a David Robinson, a Shaq and LeBron type talent, you're seeing it more. And Udonis Haslem talked to me about the 2 times the Heat did tank. Your favorite time in 2008 when your buddy Kasip Powell, Stephon Lasme, and the great Blake Ahern were in the lineup at the end of the season. They lost. They got Beasley instead of Derrick Rose. And also in 2015, they had to lose their last game of the season, they thought, in order to keep their lottery pick that became Justice Winslow. They played 4 players, including the great Henry Walker, all 48 minutes. They wound up accidentally winning that game, but they got a break in the standings and kept their lottery pick. So talked about lottery, lust, and losing with Udonis Haslem, how the Heat have been on the sideline. But man, this season, you're going to see some really interesting lineups by other teams at the end of the year with everyone looking to dine a little bit on some French cuisine at the lottery.
Good stuff as always. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ira, as always, thank you for the time, my friend. Enjoy the basketball and safe travels.
Talk to you Monday after the big win over the winless Kings. I hope. Talk to you Monday on the Acura Pembroke Pines Report. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. Thank you, Ira. Appreciate it as always. There you go. That is the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA reports.
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA Report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
All right. Thank you as always, and appreciate Ira. Good morning, Big O and Sean. Afternoon in your neck of the woods. Greetings from Vegas. By the way, great coverage at the Iron Maiden concert. Keep up the work, fins up. That was a blessing last night. That was a lot of fun last night being at the Iron Maiden concert. Gotta say, that was one that I'm glad I did not miss. It's a pain in the ass to have to travel up to Tampa. Orlando's not so bad. Tampa, dude, it just adds that extra hour, and it just makes a whole world of difference. Plus, I dropped off my car at my buddy's house in Broward, so then we drive to Broward, so then I have to then drive after to Kendall, and so, yeah. It's like I wasn't in bed till 5 a.m. So, but it was worth every bit of it, and yes, I'm tired, and I'll be tired and whatever, and I'll have plenty of time to rest when I'm freaking dead. Okay, but for now, I'm going to enjoy life. Man, you work 7 days a week, and, you don't have any time off. So you got to make a little time to have a little fun, because we're working tomorrow and we're working Sunday. It's not like I'm stopping. You know what I mean? We don't get Saturdays off for another month, right? We got four more games, I think, if I'm correct. I believe we have 4. It's this Virginia one tomorrow and 3 more. And then aren't they 3 and 4? Yeah, so it is 11 games. Yeah. You hope for a 12th if you can, get to the bowl game. This will be a huge week for the Canes if they're gonna get into a bowl game, brother. They need that done like now. They got to win big time. So Xavian Howard has given another woman STD, a little herpes, apparently. So this is how the story goes. Xavian Howard is being sued for allegedly transmitting an incurable disease during sex and asking the unlucky lady, "What can I do now?" So the Herald reports that the Jane Doe met the football player in 18 dating him At the time, Howard told her he had no STDs, showing her proof by sharing negative test results. In 2019, however, she said the suit, Howard found out that he had contacted, that is, genital herpes. Allegedly, he hid the news and continued to have unprotected sex with her. With knowledge of his incurable sexually transmitted disease and without disclosure, the defendant, Howard, continued to engage in unprotected sex with the plaintiff without informing her of the same, the lawsuit reads. Jane Doe tested positive for Howard, for Howard herpes, whatever it is, either one. It's about the same right now. In 2021, she says the lawsuit that Howard is the only person who could have given it to her. She said that Howard ultimately apologized to her after initially denying he had disease. And he says, man, I've been told you I was sorry for giving it to you, Howard told her, according to the lawsuit. But what can I do now? The damage is done. You keep bringing it up as if it's gonna change something, like your ass can't move on. That is like, that's ignorance to like the, I don't know, 100th power. So you knew you had herpes, you gave her herpes. Okay, so you screwed up already in all of that. But then you're going to, like, basically you're screaming at her like, so you got it, live with it, that's it. What are you going to do, harp on it all the time? Yeah. And let me tell you something. She's suing for $30,000. I'd sue for millions if I'm her, because now she's got to live with it. Oh, and by the way, if this, and she wants to go to court with this, guess what happens when it goes to court? It becomes public. So her name's going to become public. So people are going to know her name, and they're going to know with it, genital herpes is coming with it. So now she's going to be broadcasting basically to the world that she has genital herpes. And now she's also telling the world that Xavian Howard has genital herpes. But man, I told you I was sorry for giving it to you. No, I'm sorry. Man, I've been told you I was sorry I'm giving it to you. But what can I do now? The damage is done. You keep bringing it up as if it's going to change something, like your ass can't move on. Trying to have a little twist to the words. So I don't know how X talks, but I got to, it's got to be kind of, has to come with a little bit of an edge. You know what I'm saying? God. That is some terrible stuff, man. That's all I can tell you. That is some terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. Unfortunately. You feel bad for the woman, but she should sue for a lot more than $30,000. The kind of grief that she's going to have to carry around for the rest of her life. It's kind of unfair. Yeah, he sounds like a real deep thinker and phenomenal conversationalist. Yeah, no, X, yeah. Yeah. That's the worst thing in life than herpes. She needs to get over it. Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry I gave you herpes. Hello from Niagara Falls, Ontario. Niagara Falls, slowly I turn. Step by step. Inch by inch. And then we mortalize him. A lot of people are going, what the hell is he talking about? You know what I'm talking about? So you never watched The Three Stooges? You don't remember whenever you said Niagara Falls? Niagara Falls. Oh, come on. Then you weren't really, you're not really officially a hardcore Three Stooges fan if you don't know Niagara Falls. I didn't grow up on Three Stooges either, bitch. I'm not that old. There were reruns too when I watched it. Okay. You make it sound like I was around in the 60s and 50s to watch the Three Stooges when it was airing. I think it was 50s, right? Might have been 50s. Definitely 60s. I know I was born in the 60s, but I wasn't really watching and enjoying television till the mid-70s probably. You know, when you're 8 or 10 years old or something is when you're kind of starting to pick up on all that.
For me, that would be the 80s.
Right. Well, there's still Three Stooges in the 80s.
Yeah, but there was other stuff to watch then.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
There was championship wrestling from Florida. There was Tom and Jerry, This Week in Baseball.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You're right. This Week in Baseball. God, I used to love This Week in Baseball with Garagiola, right? Yeah. Flying into Miami from Denver, finally going back home, says Christopher Altero. There you go. All right. How much did you smoke in Denver, Christopher? Come on, tell us. Tony Zagala says, as a sponsor of Edge, but don't use the word edge when it comes to genital herpes. Yeah. No, you're right about that. Oh, man. I can't believe it. Yeah, genital herpes. Hey, the other thing, thank you to all of you out there, okay? DMs, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I haven't gotten any on LinkedIn yet. No one's done it on LinkedIn yet. But, I have gotten bombarded with Emmanuel Acho. I mean, everywhere. And thank you all out there because it shows that you guys are listening to the show and all that stuff. And so I appreciate it, And it's nice because then, people looked at me crazy. And that's all right. I mean, when I'm telling you Flo's going to get fired in the middle of a winning streak, of course it sounds crazy. It's supposed to sound crazy, but that's how stories kind of develop, So what are you going to do? All right, it's 2:00. We got 1 hour down. We got 2 more to go. We're out here at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Come on out here. Check out all the amazing vehicles. Brand new, certified pre-owned. And, of course, they've got a service center. Mike Chan, Jordan Ferber, they do a great job out here. So if you happen to own an Acura, this is the place you want to bring it to get it serviced. Tell them that Big O sent you. They'll take care of you. If you're looking for a vehicle, I promise you, it is the Halloween Spooktacular. And they will do anything and everything to get you into the vehicle. So come on out to 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Finest dealership in the business, baby. It is Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 2 minutes. Joe Shad next.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business. Car key replacements and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house!
Get out of the house! Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
Content expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Dolphins fans, it's time to talk to the man with incredibly high standards. It's not easy to score an A or grade 10 out of 10 with this guy. In fact, he isn't impressed with Joey Chestnut's dominance, Usain Bolt's speed, or even Evan Ginkel's locks. Will the hijinks continue? Can the Miami Dolphins do the impossible by getting a passing grade with Joe Shad? It's time for the Hijinks Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report. This report is brought to you by Hijinks Sports Grill in Boca at 133 Southeast Meisner Boulevard. Enjoy happy hour 4 to 7 p.m. Reserve a VIP table online and receive one free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijinks Sports Grill. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Joe Shad.
There he is, baby. Hijinks, by the way, the hottest sports bar in South Florida. It is in Boca. Go check it out. Great menu. And, of course, my man Joe Shad swears by the wings. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing, my friend?
What's up, Big O? Doing well. Good to be here.
Good stuff. So I came to the conclusion that I think Byron Jones is doing business with the Miami Dolphins. And what I mean by that is, well, unfortunately, he had a late surgery. Now there's been a delay in his return. Somebody I normally don't use as a source told me that he's kind of been particular about his return, that he needs to be pretty close to 100%. And there's been, things. It's not a Will Fuller thing. It's a like he wants to play, but he doesn't play unless he's at a certain point, and he just hasn't felt that he's been at that point yet. That's why I think McDaniel said also that the doctors have pretty much done everything that they can. It's not in their hands anymore at this point. So I think Byron Jones and his agent are being very careful on their return because they want to make sure they're 100% healthy. So what they put on film allows them to be good free agents in the off season. So I think Byron Jones is making business decisions right now, not necessarily Dolphin decisions. Your thoughts on that, Joe Shad?
Well, let's take a look at Byron Jones's contract. He's probably going to be on the team next year. So I don't think he's going to be a free agent after this season. There's 2 years left on his contract.
You got a $14 million cap hit they can take this year after releasing him. And Joe, if
Byron Jones is a good player. Why would you cut him and take a $14.8 million cap hit?
Can you do it in June and break it up into both seasons? Is that how it works, or do you do it before March? I forgot how that rule goes.
Pre-June 1st release, dead cap 14.8, cap savings 4. I don't know. This is a good player. Listen, the last time my colleagues physically saw Byron Jones, his injured lower leg didn't look as healthy or strong as the other leg. And so, we don't know. I don't know all the details and particulars of Byron Jones's injury. Lower leg, Achilles area, certainly not an easy injury to come back from. This is a guy who's the best, what is it called? Best long jumper, broad jumper in the entire NFL. So he's a guy who relies on his athleticism. I've heard that Byron Jones wants to come back. He wants to play. So like you said, not a Will Fuller situation.
No.
Right.
I've reiterated that many times. Many times. It's not. He's not doing that. But he has to protect himself because he might be released in the offseason. I'm just saying.
So you think the Dolphins might release him? I don't see that.
I know my brother. Did you see Flo getting fired? And I kept telling you. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. I'm just telling you what I think is going to end up happening. And by the way, if you're the Dolphins, you bet your ass you're releasing him, because here's X playing on 2 messed up groins and herpes, And, and there is Armstead playing on an injured toe the entire season, and you choose to maybe not go out there at 85, 90, 95% or whatever. And there are other players that are playing at those percentages, and you're not helping us, and we're killing ourselves and, trying to stay alive, and we're paying you a lot of money, and I'm not getting any return this year. And if I'm Chris Greer, yeah, dude, I think I'm thinking of parting ways with you. Yes. Yes, I am. Greedy Williams lost his job in Cleveland. That's a guy I could easily trade for and replace Byron Jones with Greedy Williams. Something like that. And I know he's still available because he's not starting there in Cleveland. So that's a guy you could trade for. And if you see a trade for a corner like that has a future, Byron Jones doesn't. That's why I think there's I understand your thought process. It makes a lot of sense. Like, he's a good player. Why would you let him go? But there are cap issues involved in all of this. And
yeah, I mean, just to be clear, in this conversation, you've hinted that the Dolphins aren't thrilled with Byron Jones not, trying to play. I don't have that information, so you might have more information on that particular detail than I do.
Well, Joe, he had surgery in March when he could have had it a lot earlier, and he didn't. And now the injury, and you heard the coach say it's out of the doctor's hands, basically. I'm kind of paraphrasing, like they've done everything, you know what I mean? So McDaniel doesn't give you a lot, but sometimes he'll give you some stuff that you can read between the trees. And you're going to tell me you think they're happy with him right now when they see other guys sucking it up and playing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be very cautious when it comes to injuries, medical. I don't have access to Byron's medical records. And so, I do know that the Dolphins' defense is at their best when Xavian and Byron are both available. We saw that in the second half of last season.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I'm just wondering with that one. What's it called? You look at this game. This is one of those where I think we're kind of expecting Tua to get back in a groove now, right? Because one of the things I talked about throughout the offseason, or I talked about it throughout the week here, he had the whole offseason. Then he had training camp preseason. So he starts off red hot. Now you get 24 days off, kind of takes your timing off. Now you get that game, and now a couple weeks of practice, the one leading up to the last game and this game. I would expect Tua to be much sharper this week, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, he conceded that there was some rust. Tua did, and then also the Lions have the very worst defense in the entire National Football League, particularly vulnerable against the run. So you should see Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds hopefully get back in a groove, and that'll create some play action opportunities for Tua. This is a good part of the schedule right here. And that's what I'm writing about in Sunday's Palm Beach Post. I'll post it on the website in a short time here. This is the moment where the Dolphins offensive line, my headline is, it's time for more Dolphins touchdowns and smoother operation. I wrote that this is the moment where the Dolphins get 4 weak opponents, 4 bad defenses, and that perfectly meshes with the idea that they are able to get back in rhythm, timing, anticipation. It's a new scheme, and this is the moment. This right here. Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator, agrees. By the end of this month, by Halloween, the Dolphins' offense should be firing on all cylinders.
Give me some good news. Cater, Kohu, and Crossan. What's your gut tell you, dog?
So I was not out at Dolphins camp today. I did see those guys running around yesterday. Mike McDaniel did say today that nobody is out or doubtful. So certainly more encouragement about Crossan and Kohu. But, the Dolphins have gotten away with no Crossan, no Kohu, no Needham, no Byron Jones, which is pretty amazing.
It is.
And, the Lions have a pretty good receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think is how you say it.
Yeah. He's a little banged up, right? Isn't he a little banged up going into this game?
Yeah, but I think
he's gonna play.
DeAndre Swift. Yeah, I think he and DeAndre Swift Brown went out with the Tua rule, the Brissett Tua rule, with the concussion that wasn't really a concussion, and so yeah, the Lions, do have a couple of decent offensive weapons, but look, it's the Lions, it's Dan Campbell, nice guy, but the Dolphins should win this. You just hope that there's not a huge emotional letdown. Last week, no points scored in the second half. Maybe you don't see too many points in the first half this week, but in the end, the Dolphins should pull away and cover.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It looks like Austin Jackson is out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't practice this week.
Yeah, so
Shell is doing okay at right tackle.
That's what I'm saying. Does Austin Jackson realize he's about to become Wally Pipp?
Well, listen, the coaches are going to make that decision. You don't want an Austin Jackson with a bad ankle, all right? Austin Jackson is a young player.
Yeah,
who is
high ankles. You've played some ball, right? We've all had high ankle sprains, bro. Those things are brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it can be as bad or worse than a broken bone.
Amen. Yeah.
So we don't want an injured Austin Jackson out there. Let's get him healed up. Brandon Shell is doing a better job than Greg Little. I wrote in today's Palm Beach Post about an interesting matchup between Teron Armstead and the Lions' Aiden Hutchinson, the second pick in the draft. Someone pointed out that Aiden Hutchinson will line up opposite both tackles. So you have to imagine he's going to get some run at Brandon Shell as well. But that's a classic matchup there. Armstead, the three-time Pro Bowler. Hutchinson, who had 14 sacks at Michigan last year, and then already 4.5 sacks this year. He's really come on the last two games. He's, Bosa-like, Watt-like. And so that's one of their best players right there. Matchup to watch. The Dolphins don't like to use extra guys to chip and help with the tight ends and the running backs. They want to get their guys out in space. And, so hopefully Shell holds up when matched up against Hutchinson. You know Teron will. You believe it. We will.
Are you expecting Gaskin to get more run because of the struggles of Chase?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The Dolphins lead the NFL in dropped passes. Chase Edmonds leads the NFL in that individual statistic in terms of drop passes. So a little bit of hurt confidence right there. I think Chase Edmonds is obviously in his head. He's a much better player than he's shown. He's a much better player, yeah.
God, that's so screwed up, dude. He's a good football player, bro. And I don't know what the hell is going on with that poor guy, bro. But he is going through hell right now with his confidence or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but that's not the Chase Edmonds that I normally watched in Arizona. That guy's a good football player. It's weird.
And yes, maybe Gaskin gets a few more carries. It'll be interesting to see with the trade deadline coming up here, next Tuesday. Do the Dolphins add lineman depth? Do the Dolphins add a running back maybe? Do they add
safety? You can't replace Brandon Jones, dog.
Well, you know what? I was looking at this. The Dolphins need more turnovers. And I was thinking about this. Who's a guy who throughout his career has actually forced some turnovers? Eric Rowe. Eric Rowe led the Dolphins in forced fumbles last year. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking maybe Eric Rowe, maybe it's time to revisit Eric Rowe.
Well, I think he's going to play the position. The problem I have with Eric Rowe is he's become more consistent at covering tight ends. He's not consistent with running backs and receivers. And so that's where I think he will struggle at times because he will not be consistent. He's not the blitzer that Brandon Jones is. He's not the run support guy that Brandon Jones is. So that's he doesn't. I don't think he. The problem is that Brandon Jones is a weirdo. It's hard to find people like that have the skills that can rush the passer, that can knock.
He was improving in coverage too. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and he was making, and that was his only weakness. And he clearly was showing that he was improving in coverage. Brandon is a freak, dude. He's not. It's hard. They're gonna need a couple of players to play that position at times.
Yeah, and the Dolphins did force 3 turnovers last week, and they are about to face 3 quarterbacks who rank in the top 4 in turnover-worthy plays. according to Pro Football Focus. That would be Jared Goff, who you can turn this guy over. Justin Fields turns the ball over. Jacoby Brissett, unfortunately, West Palm Beach guy, will turn the ball over. So I've been thinking about it, and I'm writing about it here. Andrew Van Ginkel has come on. I saw that he actually leads the NFL in pass rush win rate among all edge rushers. So we've been correctly giving Jalen Phillips love for his extraordinary athleticism and the fact that he's, a beast to handle. But Van Ginkel, I think we're going to see more snaps for Van Ginkel, and he's a guy who has shown throughout his career that he can turn the ball over.
That's my guy, bro. AVG? Kidding me? I fight with Omar Kelly all the time about that. He gives me shit about AVG. He thinks he's not that impressive and he's not a ball hawk. When you see Omar Kelly, if you ever see him again, because I don't know
Not
if
a ball hawk? No,
exactly.
he's a ball hawk.
I know. No. I know.
I keep trying to get him. Since I met him, I've been trying to tell him, listen, you need to get into Metallica and Megadeth and all this. He's not into that stuff. It's shocking with the hair, you would think.
You would think, right? Yeah.
He's more into the country.
He should have been at Iron Maiden with me last night.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
I know. Oh, there you go. I do like Metallica.
Yeah, I'm going. You going next month?
That's a special show I just saw about, right?
Yeah, dude.
Can you get me in? I heard it's
dedicating it. They're dedicating it to two members of the band. One that was a band member and touring manager, both dead. And they're only playing music from 83 and 84. So that's Kill 'Em All.
Are those songs I'll know or not really?
Well, Ride the Lightning has a crap ton, Whom the Bell Tolls and Ride the Lightning. And so there's a whole bunch of songs in that one that are, they're already legendary as it is. The first album is not as good. Kill 'Em All is like kind of raw, and the recording, the production of that album is not very good. I wish that this band would actually re-record that album now, and it would probably sound better. But for me, Ride the Lightning is actually my favorite album. But anybody that loves old Metallica, that's all you're going to see that night, because it's all dedicated from the era when those guys were apart.
So do you have a ticket? Because it said that it's intimate venue.
Yeah, well,
I've never been over there.
It's at the Hard Rock, so everything at the Hard Rock Live now is intimate because there's only like 6,000 or 7,000 seats. So the tickets are expensive as hell to get into that one, especially that Metallica concert, because that's not part of the tour. This is a completely special show that they're doing. I can't wait for it, bro. I cannot wait, because Ride the Lightning for me is damn. That is my favorite album, so I can't wait. All right, so what's the prediction there, Hotshot? What happens this weekend?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not cleared to fly yet, so I'm not going to be in Detroit. I had to cancel my Chicago flight. I will be at the Browns game. I was at the Steelers game on Sunday night. Did not get a chance to see Coach Flo, but yeah, no, Dolphins to win going away. I'm going to give you something like 28-17. Dolphins cover.
Okay, what insight can you give us on general herpes?
Don't know anything about it.
What do you think of that X
Gotta
story?
go, Big O. Gotta go. All right.
Follow
good
him on
to see
Twitter.
you. I'll see you on Sunday.
Follow him on Twitter, Shad Joe.
See you, bud.
Okay, subscribe to the Palm Beach Post and support this man. Joe, we love you. Have a great weekend, bro.
See you
later. I started with the hijinks, and he was out. That's Joe Shad.
This has been the Hijinks Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Joe Shad. This report is brought to you by Hijinks Sports Grill in Boca at 133 Southeast Meisner Boulevard. Enjoy happy hour from 4 to 7 p.m. Reserve a VIP table online and receive one free sparkling wine. Follow them on Instagram at Hijinks Sports Grill.
All right. I never figured Joe to be a Metallica guy. I never figured that. That's terrible on my part.
I don't think he's a Metallica guy. I think he knows Metallica songs.
Okay. I can't see him jamming a Fade
It's because
to
he
Black
said,
or
"Are those
anything.
songs that I would know?" I would think if you're a Metallica guy, you would know
Yeah.
the albums. I think he's listened to Metallica.
I don't know. I just he goes, I like Metallica. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. Do you just like one song? I
love Enter Sandman.
Yeah, Enter Sandman, right? Everybody knows that one. I just like, wow. He threw me off on that one. I don't see Joe as a Metallica guy.
Yeah, no, I think he was trying to get a ticket. Is what he was saying.
I was trying to get a ticket.
Because he said a couple times, "You got a ticket?"
Yeah, he's got no shot of getting that ticket. I'm taking Greeper with that ticket. I got the extra ticket. I'm taking my man Greep because I got to take somebody that I know is going to really appreciate that. And my buddy Greeper, I know, is going to enjoy that one. So, yes, we're going to go. Tickets are like $400 each out of my price range. 400 is low. 400 is like at the top row of the second level, Carlos. It's way more for other tickets. It's crazy. I mean, it is the prices for that concert, and you can tell that a bunch of scalpers bought the tickets because that's what's going on. You know, Roxy says, bring protection. Fade to Black is another one. Yeah, dude, I love Fade to Black. That's what I was just saying. I can't see Joe jamming a Fade to Black. Fight fire with fire. You know, I'm thinking of it because I love that album. That album is so good. In fact, I was jamming Ride the Lightning on the way down last night from the Maiden concert just to start getting me in the mood for Metallica next month. I can't wait, dude. It's like November 2nd or 6th or something, whatever it is. I can't wait for that. Joe Gibbs of an NSYNC vibe. There you go. You're all I ever wanted. You're all I ever needed, right? Or something like that. Little instinct. I love it. Joe likes the Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block. I know it. Masters of Puppet is my favorite Metallica album. You know what? I think a lot of people are with you on that one. I would think Masters of Puppet, the Black Album, are probably two of the most popular Metallica albums of all time. Those are probably, like, I'm a Ride the Lightning guy. I think I'm in the minority when it comes to Ride the Lightning. I'm sure there'll be some Metallica fans that'll agree with me and say, no, dude, I'm with you. Ride the Lightning's my favorite. But I think more people would agree with you, sir, and they would like Masters of Puppet or the Black Album way over most albums from Metallica. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I got you. Big O, does your wife not enjoy the same music as you? Why isn't she going with you? She's going with me tonight to see Reverend Horton Heat. She went with me to see Judas Priest. She wakes up at 5:30 in the morning to go to school to teach. You do the math why she wasn't with me at Iron Maiden in Tampa Bay last night and why I had to start work at 1 p.m. Okay, so she's gone to Iron Maiden concerts with me. She's gone to Judas Priest concerts with me, Scorpions. She likes some of that music. Metallica, no, I wouldn't take her to Metallica concert. That wouldn't be something that she would enjoy. But there are some things, but it has to be timing, you know, like she can't be working the next day at 5:30 in the morning. Can you imagine if that woman was with me last night and like I got here at 4:30? So it's all right, great, honey. Go ahead, go shower and go to work. You know, she can't do that, dude. So, you know, we're older now. You know, back in the day, I probably could do this whole trip and wake up at 7 in the morning and go do this show, you know. But I'm 56 now, man. I need some sleep, man. And luckily, my boy drove, and I was able to sleep a couple of hours in the car. So that helped me energize a little bit. And then I got home and slept 5 more hours. And then tonight I'm going to go see the Reverend Horton Heat. And oh, by the way, let me look at my tickets. Where the hell am I going? Oh, well, that's great. It doesn't even say it here on the ticket. On the Ticketmaster ticket, it doesn't say where I'm going. That's funny. But I believe it's the Culture Room where I'll be at tonight. Toadies and Reverend Horton Heat. The Toadies are the headliner, but I'm really more there to see Reverend Horton Heat because I am told he is pretty good. Favorite Metallica for me is Unforgiven and One. There you go. And Justice for All was my favorite was my first Metallica album and my favorite. That's another great one. I mean, it's Metallica. There's so many great albums, right? Big O, most people like Metallica, like the Black Album. The Metallica hardcore fans like the older albums. Yeah, I don't get so hung up like some Metallica fans do with the, from the Black Album on and all this stuff. I enjoy all their music. I just think what I love about Metallica when you watch them, like a lot of great bands, is you watch them evolve through time. And to me, that's when you listen to Kill 'Em All, and then you go to Ride the Lightning, and then you move on to the other ones. The production and the songwriting, just alone from Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning, is night and day. And that's one of the things that, James, who is the heart and soul of that band, his songwriting skills are just, out of this world. And that's the one thing that you can tell that as you watch the albums evolve, that's what gets better and better and better. The songwriting, the production, all of that, because they grow as musicians, obviously, which is what you want. And you know what's the amazing part about that? Here's the best part about Metallica. What are they the best at? Do they have the best guitarist ever? Do they have the best drummer ever? Do they have the best bass player ever? No. They're all terrific, excellent musicians. But you never put any of them in the category when you start talking about the greats. Yet as a band, they're great. Now, James Hetfield, as a songwriter, is a great one. Okay? As a frontman, he is God. He is one of the great frontmans of all time. He's got one of the most killer voices of all time. But if you think about it, like when you start talking about The Who, and you start talking about drumming, and you start talking about bass playing, you're talking about some of the best that ever did it. And then when you go to Led Zeppelin, it's Bonzo, Page, Plant, John Paul Jones. They could be in the conversation for any of those conversations that you want to talk about. You look at Van Halen, right? And Eddie, obviously right up there. But you look at Metallica, and you don't really look at their musicians and put them up there with the best of the best. Yet as a band, they are one of the greatest ever. Obviously, the top speed metal, thrash metal, whatever you want to call them of all time. It's not even close. Nobody even comes close to them. Because it's funny how they talk about the big four, and they throw in, Anthrax, Metallica, Megadeth, and they're all terrific. They don't even come close to Metallica. Not even close. Metallica's in the Led Zeppelin genre of it, like Iron Maiden is and all that. It's just, they're at another level. But yet you look at it and it's crazy. All right, we're ready to rock. Let's go. Marcel Louis-Jacques, baby. It is time to get the edge. Remember, you can get myedgedrink.com. Get the finest energy drink on the planet. Delicious, smooth, zero aftertaste, only 78 calories. I can't say that enough. Order it at myedgedrink.com. Use our code Big O. You will get 10% off. You can't get it at any stores. You got to order it, baby. Get it at your home, your office. And tomorrow at Walk-Ons in Kendall, all right, we will be serving up some Edge energy drinks. So check it out, baby. And you can come try it, and then you'll buy it. And it's a great elixir. If you're going to watch the game with us, UM and Virginia at Walk-Ons, and you get a little Edge, mix it with some vodka, and then I'll be there tomorrow. Tell me after. When you mix the Edge with a little vodka, you're going to go, this is off the chain. Okay? That's all I can tell you. So go check it out. We'll be at Walk-Ons tomorrow. But really, you want the finest energy drink on the planet? myedgedrink.com. Use our code Big O. Get 10% off. Let's go to Marcel Louis-Jacques.
Time to get the edge on the Miami Dolphins with our Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins report. When you want the energy drink that's delicious and smooth with zero aftertaste, you can only order Edge Energy Drink at myedgedrink.com. That's myedgedrink.com. Here's ESPN Dolphin insider Marcel Louis-Jacques.
There he is. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good? Uh-oh.
Yeah, the updated headshot, man. I appreciate that.
There we go. What was that again? Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said the updated headshot, baby. I appreciate that.
There you go.
I appreciate that, man. Get the more modern look. I still got to grow my hair out a little bit more in order to hit those levels, but we're getting there. By the end of the season, we'll get there.
We had to update the imaging and everything. Edge has a new can, as you can see. It's like it's a really fresh can and all that. You're going to see a lot of Edge in clubs actually coming up. For those of you that, I'm too old. I don't go clubbing and all that kind of stuff. But for those
that,
yeah, well, you don't now because you're taken, so you can't go clubbing now. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, even before that, the club is a trap. It's a trap. It's always a trap. Because look, I went one time. I've been to one club out here, okay? I went to Space when I first got here. A couple friends, friends of a friend invited me to their table, invited me to pitch in. So I'm thinking, okay, like $300 each. That's not horrible, like considering it's $100 even to get in. And then it's going to be, $20 a drink? So like this way I can have more drinks. I can have my space, da-da-da-da. Some people didn't show up, ended up costing me $500. We got there at 1:30. I left at 8:30. I walked out and there's people, moms walking their kids in the strollers and dogs nearby and birds chirping the sun out. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. This is not for me anymore, bro. I'm too old to be crawling out the club at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday. The Lord is looking at me with disdain. So I'll do all that. It's so expensive, bro. Like it's so expensive. And like TV and movies have like set it in people's mind that like you're gonna go to the club and you're gonna meet these girls. You're gonna bring them up. Nobody looking at you in GA. Ain't nobody looking at you general admission. You better have a table. Or you gonna go home with the same boys you came in there with. So the club, man. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Once in a super blue moon, bro. Once in a pure eclipse, you might catch me out. If not, I'll be in Wynwood, man.
No, I'm with you, man. It's the club has always been a trap, and especially for a star like you on ESPN. Forget it, bro. You're going to be targeted nowadays. So yeah, you better stay away from the club. Well, by the way, you never know. You could end up with genital herpes. That's not a good thing, So.
Mm-mm. Well. I'm not touching that.
You're getting a little uncomfortable. Well, of course you don't want to touch it. You're going to catch it then. You don't want to do that kind of stuff. But hey, props to X playing with 2 injured groins and herpes. That's how come they don't add that?
Allegedly, man. Allegedly.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Allegedly. Okay, I'm sorry.
Gotta be very careful there. You're not trying to get sued here, but. Okay. Allegedly, according to that lawsuit, yes. It's not something I expect him to comment on. It's not something I expect the team to comment on.
You're not going to ask him either, right?
It is a weird subject. That's a weird subject, man. Like it feels a little TMZ. It feels a little TMZ-esque here. If true, yeah, it would be a scummy thing to do.
That's who broke it. So that's why it should sound TMZ-ish because it came from TMZ. All right, let's get to football talk. Enough with the fun. Byron Jones. I did a little sum here the last couple of days, and I'm starting to think that Byron Jones might be doing business, not doing Dolphin business. And he had the late surgery which he could have had it earlier and chose to do it in March, has had some setbacks. And from what I'm hearing, it's not a Will Fuller thing. I'll keep repeating it over and over and over and over and over and over again. But from what somebody tells me, haven't used this person as a source, but they are connected to the team. They do have a connection. But this is their tryout here to see if it's actually true. But what I'm hearing is that he is kind of particular about his return and needs to be, pretty close to 100% and all that kind of stuff. And we're watching Armstead play with a screwed up toe. We're watching the aforementioned X with 2 groins and herpes. And so allegedly, and so he's out there and all these people are gutting it out. And so I'm wondering if Byron Jones is worried about the offseason where he could be released. And maybe he and his agent are also looking at, okay, well, if we take the field, we need to be close to 100% because we need to put good play on tape. If the year where it's all injuries and setbacks, you're not going to be getting the kind of money you would want in the offseason. So your thoughts on all of that. Do you think this has turned into just setbacks for Byron Jones, or could there be a business decision being played by Byron Jones right now?
I mean, I don't think that he's out here trying to play the Dolphins because, look, man, they weren't going to cut him this year regardless. It was like the dead cap is too high. Next year is the first year they could reasonably do it.
Right.
So delaying the surgery doesn't necessarily, like, that would suggest that he just wanted like a free year off. You know what I mean? That would suggest that he just wanted to hang out and chill all year. And I don't think that's the case. It's kind of like a catch-22 though, right? Because like the longer you wait, the healthier in theory you'll be. But also the longer you wait, the less tape you have, like the less you're putting on tape and the more opportunities you're giving guys like Kader Kohu to show what they can do in your position. So I don't think it's a contract ploy. I think that, healthy or unhealthy, if there is a cheaper guy who could do the job just as well, then they will get rid of Byron Jones. That's the nature of the business. He's not necessarily homegrown. He wasn't drafted by this front office. He wasn't selected by this coaching staff. Like, there's no sentimental affinity there in theory. So I think that it's one of those things that we could probably just take at face value, in that he's coming back from an Achilles injury. Like, it wasn't a complete tear. From what I was told in March, it was just cleaning up something that he had been lingering throughout the season. And I think, it would kind of make sense to say, hey, I battled this last year. I battled an Achilles injury last year, and I wasn't great last year. Wasn't great. Often on the injury report, lit up by Elijah Moore in the Meadowlands. Like, he didn't pop in a good way. He was fine, but I wouldn't say he was $82 million good last season. So I think that, he sees that and says, yeah, I don't want to rush it back. And I don't think the team wants to rush him back either. Like, what good does it do just to have Byron Jones there in name if he can't run? So, like, I think that, I don't think it's a ploy. I don't think it's, a money thing. I don't think it's trying to strengthen his position in the future. I think it's simply a complex injury with no, concrete return timetable. I think that it's just hard. It's just hard to come back from. But I do feel like if the moment ever comes where he is done for the year, I think McDaniel is the kind of guy who would probably come out and say that. Who would probably come out and say, yeah, we don't expect to have him back this year. They don't necessarily gain anything by hiding it. They don't gain anything by saying it either, but he's an honest person. He doesn't lie. So, or doesn't like to lie. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's like I said a couple times in this rant, I don't think it's something with like ulterior motives involved. I think it's a complicated injury.
Your thoughts on Josh Boyer and the job he's done, considering all the injuries he's had, when he has practically no secondary left and only one guy that's really healthy in Javon Holland, because X is playing like 70% X right now.
Yeah, I think he deserves a little more credit than he's getting. Obviously, when the defense struggles, the knee-jerk, low-hanging fruit is to say, well, I guess Flo was calling the defense after all. I guess it was Gerald Alexander calling plays after all. But you got to remember, this team is built around its secondary. They've got horses in the front seven. They've got, versatile pass rushers. They're deep there, don't get me wrong. But at full strength, Howard, Brandon, Byron, Holland, Needham is the strength of that defense. Like they're ball hawks. They're tight in coverage. They force quarterbacks into making questionable decisions. Without them, it's easy to pinpoint the pass rush and say, they're not doing their job. They're not getting home. But opposing quarterbacks are getting the ball out at the fifth fastest rate in the NFL right now. And the Dolphins are allowing, if I remember correctly, the fourth highest completion percentage in the NFL. This means they're getting the ball out fast, they're getting the ball out in short spaces, and they're trying to get their receivers to do something after the catch. The routes aren't developing because they're not holding onto the ball and allowing them to develop. They're just saying, okay, it's the Dolphins. They're going to be aggressive, quick, bang, bang, bang. Without guys like Byron Jones in there in the press, with Xavian Howard not healthy, with Javon Holland playing center field most of the time, it's something that the Dolphins are willing to let teams do. So they need – shout out to Josh Boyer for kind of recognizing, hey, this is where we're at. This is how opponents are probably going to attack us. We can bend. We're not going to break, though. And so, you ask where the sacks are. You ask where the pressures are. You ask where the turnovers are. Sunday was the first time in a little while that a team actually tried to push the ball downfield against Miami. And look what happened. The ball hawks are still there. It's not like Javon Holland forgot how to catch the football. Xavian Howard forgot how to break and make plays on the football. They're still there. They say, come play with us if you want. We'll play your little short passing dink and dunk game. If you want to push that thing downfield, we're still here ready for you. So I think the Steelers, unfortunately for Miami, the Steelers kind of set the tone and set an example of what happens when you do try to test the Dolphins, that they're not, this isn't a down year. They still have dudes in the secondary to pick the ball off. That's just not how teams are attacking them this year. And I think Boyer and that defense have said, that's fine. Go ahead and do this short nonsense. We'll tighten up in the red zone when it really counts.
I've been really impressed overall, considering the crap that they've had to deal with and everything. And people were wondering if Josh Boyer could do the job because everything was credited to Flo and all that kind of stuff. I just, I think at least through half a season and through all this turmoil, we should kind of put it to rest a little bit and give him some credit, because he's done a marvelous job, I think, of overcoming, all the adversity. And now, one of the things that I like is that now maybe we get to see some other guys like Andrew Van Ginkel, who's kind of been, kind of put to the side a little bit and not given as many opportunities. And now it looks like the last couple of weeks, he's become a much bigger part of it. And this is a guy that's actually shown a lot of playmaking abilities in his first 2 years.
Yeah, I think they like Van Ginkel a lot. We just heard from, I believe it was Ty McKenzie. He's doing a commendable job of coming back after appendix surgery. He had a good training camp, had his appendix operated on, and was playing 2 weeks later. That's hard to do. I think really, though, we're going to start seeing Jalen Phillips pop. He's a guy that's looking like everything is really clicking for him. I know, he gets a lot of attention. He gets a lot of criticism for a perceived lack of production, but he's winning his pass rushes at a high rate. If the quarterback, again, like we saw Sunday night, if the quarterback wants to hang on to the ball and allow routes to develop, more often than not, Jalen Phillips is going to be in the vicinity. Jalen Phillips is going to be in his grill. I think that's a guy they're really relying on to take the next step this year, with Emmanuel Agua sort of taking a step back, and he's been battling some injuries. Melvin Ingram's been strong. Van Ginkel's been, still, like I said, battling back. Phillips has really been the constant for them in that front seven. I think that, keep an eye on him these next couple weeks. Particularly, his athleticism, I think, is really going to stand out when they play a guy like Justin Fields next week. who the Bears are allowing to run the ball more and get out of the pocket a little bit more. And they're trying to open up the passing game by getting him outside the pocket. I think Phillips' athleticism, I think Van Ginkel's athleticism on opposite sides are going to be critical to keeping him in place. The Lions have a good offensive line this Sunday, but Jared Goff is very much a stationary target. So if Phillips can win his initial pass rush, if he can start to create some pressure, Goff is not the kind of guy who's going to avoid, he's not going to avoid pass rushers very well. He's not going to, stand in the face of pressure and deliver very often. I think he's relying on Amon-Ra St. Brown to get open quickly. So I think watch Jalen Phillips here at Ford Field come Sunday.
I'm with you there. Is it going to be all Eric Rowe in your eyes replacing Brandon Jones? Because I don't think he can do everything that Brandon does.
No, I don't think it's going to be a one-man replacement. I think we're going to see a little Rowe. We're going to see a little Verron McKinley. Might even see some Clayton Fitzgerald. I think he was. I think he was decent. At the very least, he was there. He mentally he was there. He was in position to make a couple plays. He had a big stop against Najee Harris on third down, I believe, as well. So
I believe you have misplaced hope there, but that's all right.
I'm not saying he's going to sit here and be the next Brandon Jones. He's not going to sit here and be the savior of this defense, but he might cycle in on a couple of plays, situationally. We'll see. But I think it'll be a mix of Rowe.
I will be cringing every time he comes in.
Hey, look, man, every one of these guys is an NFL player. Every one of these guys is an NFL player.
I give them credit, dude. They're like in their 7th and 8th corners at this point. I mean, hopefully Kohou and Crossing come back this week because that'll help out also for depth purposes and put, some of these guys, don't put them out there and expose them.
I mean, even still, man, before the season, if you were to poll Dolphins fans and say, this team will rely on an undrafted rookie and Keon Crossing at cornerback this year, people would probably panic. Crossing was signed mainly as a special teams contributor, had to get some run because of Byron Jones being hurt, and then really turned heads throughout training camp, had a really strong training camp. So, having these two back would be huge. I think you'll see, obviously, a lot of Kohou there in the slot filling the Nick Needham role because without him, it is you got three, man. You got three. You got X, you got Noah, and you got Bethel. And I guess maybe you got Elijah Campbell too. But I think they feel good about Crossing. They feel good about Kohou playing this week. They did have Malcolm Butler in for a workout earlier. Did not sign him after all. So I think that says two things. One, obviously, says what they think about Malcolm Butler. And two, says that they're pretty comfortable and confident in what they've got at corner right now.
How confident are you they'll make a move, Marcel?
Trade?
Yes, sir.
I'm not. Honestly, I'm not very confident. I don't see it happening. If they do it, I don't think it's going to be anything particularly major. When you look at, who's the big trade candidate right now, you look at Mike Gesicki, and unless you're moving Mike Gesicki for a starting caliber left guard, then I don't really see it happening per se, and I don't see them getting rid of him for draft picks right now because it's not the same Gesicki that we've seen because it's not the same thing he's been asked to do.
Yeah, it's not him. It's
not him. Like McDaniel said earlier this year, he's like, look, our tight ends are going to have to relearn how to play the position. Yeah. I thought that was directly staring. You might as well have been staring through the wall at Mike Gesicki when he said that. But he's been efficient when called upon. So like he's a valuable asset for this team. He's a valuable person in the locker room. Maybe if instead of 4-3, they were like 2-5 or 1-6, then we could talk about trading and selling and getting draft picks. But I don't necessarily see that happening right now. No.
By the way, obviously, I've been the guy tooting the horn the entire time for Tua. As everybody knows, I am probably the president of Tuanon. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I've believed in the kid from the get-go, and I've said it was coaching and talent and all that kind of stuff. And our boy Joe Shad at times says, he asked me last year, says, you would you still take Tua over Herbert? And I said, yes.
Oh, no.
Last year I said it. And he asked me a couple weeks back, and I said it also. And so now it looks like it's starting to come around now. People are starting to look at that. Yeah, he's a great physical talent, but not really convinced that he is a great quarterback yet. And too many were, including my boy Joe Shad, who I went batshit crazy on his ass when he called Justin Herbert great. And I was like, no, dude, he put him in the category with Pat Mahomes. And I was like, no, you're out of your mind. He's not great yet. He's a great physical talent. Sure, of course he is. But he's not a great quarterback. So I'm just wondering, where do you stand on the quarterback Tua? Quarterback Justin Herbert. And I know you're a Tua supporter. So I know you're a Tua believer, in other words. So you haven't been necessarily a hater. You've been a little bit of the I need to see it, but you haven't been at least the guy that, you haven't been the idiot that said, oh, noodle arm, too short, can't play. That I give you credit. You didn't do that, at least.
No, I like I said, I always wanted to see it from Tua because this is a different situation than he's ever been in. He likes to come to work. He has fun coming to work now. Who among us haven't, changed our job or had different management, different coworkers that all of a sudden was like, oh, damn, work is cool now. Let me go ahead and play. Let me go ahead and go the extra mile. And I think after that happened, we've seen a different version of Tua. We've seen a harder working version of Tua, a more confident and comfortable version of Tua. We've seen a more efficient version of Tua on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it works for the Dolphins. And that's really what matters. Like what he does here works. When Skylar and Teddy are on the field, I sit there and I say, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what to expect. Maybe they'll score. Who knows? When Tua's at quarterback, all of a sudden I feel the comfort with this offense
because he's that dude.
I feel like this will work because he works for this team, and that's really all that matters. We can't deal in hypotheticals here. We got to deal in reality. The reality is Tua plays for the Dolphins and Justin Herbert plays for the Chargers. What Tua does is working for the Dolphins. They win. Wins are not a QB stat, first and foremost, but they win games when he is there. He is part of the win. He is part of the reason why they win.
And they don't necessarily win when Justin Herbert's there. So let's just also
I've said it on this. I say it a lot because it's like something I really believe to my core. I've said it on this show. I've said it when I co-host on ESPN Radio as well. Teams are going to be themselves at the end of the day. More often than not. The Browns are going to Brown. The Texans are going to Texan. The Chargers are going to Charger at the end of the day. And what we see from the Chargers every year is a ton of hype and then a shit ton of injury misfortune. And then all bets are off. A couple of throwing some questionable coaching decisions and a tough division. And I don't know what to expect from the Chargers.
But who is the better quarterback?
I'm not going to say that because y'all are going to get mad at what I say.
Not better physical talent because there is no
define better quarterback versus better physical talent. Like who's better at playing the position or who has seen more success playing the position?
Physical talent, there is no discussion here. Justin Herbert wins it by like 8 billion miles. There's no discussion here on physical. We know what Justin Herbert is physical. What I define a quarterback is a guy that runs the offense at an efficient pace and can get the max out of the offense and can elevate his players all the time. So the question I ask you is, does Tua do that more than Justin Herbert from what you've watched now this year, that now he has what Justin Herbert has had for 2 now going into 3 years? Actual talent. And he still has a running game, which Tua has yet to have a running game because he still has no Austin Eckler back there at all. Nobody's Austin Eckler back there for them. But he's had 2 Pro Bowl-like receivers. Mike hasn't gotten a Pro Bowl level yet, but he's been playing so much better. And then obviously the other dude's been a Pro Bowler and he's a monster. So he's had
Also
some
hasn't been playing, as my fantasy team is super well aware of. He has not been playing.
I know. That's you want to count on Justin Herbert and then an injury-prone receiver. I mean, that is what it is. But
look, I wasn't judging Tua when he had injuries and a lack of talent at wide receiver.
Well, plenty did.
We ain't talking to plenty right now. We talking to me. You didn't ask plenty.
But you're talking
to plenty.
But bitch, you're talking to the left tackle that had to punch all those people. Okay, so I'm a little worn out here. So that's why I'm saying I heard the idiot for 2 years can't do this, and I'm the guy telling them they have no coaching, they have no offensive line, they have no running game, and people weren't listening to me. So
Tua and his team are having the better season right now. I think the Chargers are disappointing because of all the hype. Because of the hype around Herbert, because of the hype around the money that they've spent, the hype around this defense. And what we've seen is, J.C. Jackson was crap and then got hurt. He's done. Bosa is done. Allen has been hurt. Mike Williams is hurt now too. Herbert throws the bad interception to an exhausted tight end. Bad decision, but it is what it is. I think when he's been on the field, Tua has been better this year. When he's been on the field, Tua has been better this year.
By the way, I'm always shocked when a Bosa or a Watt are injured. I mean, it never happens. They're never injured, ever, those guys. All right, so one more thing before I let you go. I told you a couple of weeks ago when I think I played that video of you of young Tua talking to that reporter. Remember that?
You didn't play it for me, but you have mentioned it a few times.
Okay, so you should send it to him. Do me a favor, Sean. Send it to him so you can watch it. It's 1 minute. So that video depressed me when I played it for everybody about 3 weeks ago because he talked about how his dad goes crazy when he takes on, hits and all that, and he disciplines him and all that. You should watch it because it's actually good insight. We need to ask him what his dad used to how his dad used to discipline him for taking on hits. So, what did you think of the press conference on Wednesday when, I'll tell you I'm going to slide. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but, it's a weird competitive thing that takes over. And so it's kind of his justification of, I get it. I know what the right thing to do is, but I forget to do the right thing in the middle of the game. And so, and that's why we saw him take on contact twice in that damn game. Does it look like he's just going to be who he is, no matter what it is? He's not going to learn, right?
He better not. He better not be. Stop being yourself. That's not what you get paid millions of dollars to do. You don't get paid millions. They could buy any dude in the stands who played high school football and flamed out can run at somebody full speed and lower their shoulder. Like, you get paid to make decisions, and we got to factor that in. If we're talking about decision making as a quarterback, that's a decision you have to make. Is it a business decision with your body? Stop lowering your damn shoulder. Me and Tua are the same weight, bro. I'm not lowering my shoulder in the Devin Bush. I'm not lowering my shoulder to get the extra yard. If you ain't get it, you didn't get it, man. Fight another day. Kick a field goal. You're in field goal range. But you fighting for extra yards like that for? Like, you have to be able to see, and not see, but like factor in, multiple different aspects to a play. Like, is it worth me fighting for yards here? What is our greater situation? Are we losing? Like, are we in field goal range? Like, are we in position where we can go for it on 4th and 1? Should I have thrown the ball away? Is this guy like, you can't just, I don't want to hear, I appreciate the honesty. But if I'm a Dolphins fan, if I'm a Dolphins coach, I don't want to hear you say, yeah, in the moment, I just, I get a little carried away and I want to fight forward. Because somebody is going to ring your bell, my guy. One of these days, you're going to play with the wrong dude and he's going to knock you out. So, no, I hate that. And this is why I've been saying for the past week and a half, all that talk of, I know better. I need to know when to slide. I need to know when to give up on a play. Like, when to fight another day, I need to preserve my long-term health. That's great. I want to see it. Yes. I want to see you do it. Because you can talk, you can do all this. I've been saying I'm going to go to the gym in the morning every day for the past week. I've done it like twice. Talk is great, man. Go do it.
Yeah, that's 2 more than I've done in 10 years. So that's a nice job by you.
Man, like respectfully, we can all say things, right? We all say things, and it sounds great, and you win that battle with the microphone. But when the lights are on, yeah, man, that's supposed to be what separates you. That's supposed to be what elevates. That's why Russell Wilson's career has lasted so damn long.
Right.
Because he knows how to avoid contact.
Yep. I'm with you.
So no, man. And this is not, he had a few moments last year that, I think you ever hear that phrase, like, man, he'd still be here if y'all weren't gassing him up.
Right.
Like I think the video is this little dog barking at alligators, right? And he's barking, he's yipping and yipping, and everybody's cheering, yeah, get him, Roscoe, get him, and the dog like runs back to people, big smile on his face. And then he barked at the wrong alligator, and the alligator snatched him up and put him in the water. Right. And said he would still be alive if you weren't gassing him up. Last year, he trucks Michael Carter, the cornerback, against the Jets. He jukes Deion Jones, the linebacker for the Falcons. And everybody gassed him up, talking about, look at him go. I think he had another run against the Cardinals as a rookie. Nah, man. Like, he stopped gassing these runs up, stop gassing him up, because he ain't supposed to be doing that. No. He is not Josh Allen size. He ain't Cam Newton size. He ain't Justin Herbert size. Like, that's the one time where I will say, yeah, his size is kind of a concern. Like, he's got a strong base, but look, man, if you and I are the same size, I'm not an NFL quarterback. You don't need to be taking those hits if you can help it.
Hell no. Marino didn't take him. He did it twice in one night when Marino never did in 17 years. Take on tacklers twice. That's something Marino was like, no. That's somebody else's job. That's not mine. Follow him on Twitter at Marcel_LJ. Catch his work there at ESPN and twice a week here exclusively on this platform in South Florida with our myedgedrink.com Miami Dolphins report. Marcel, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you immensely.
Yes, sir. Talk to y'all from Motor City, baby.
You got it. Be good out there. Be safe, my friend. Thank you. That is Marcel Louis-Jacques. You now have the edge, and we're going to move from the edge and get ready for a little fantasy football with Scott Pianowski.
You now have the edge on the Miami Dolphins with the Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins Report featuring ESPN's Marcel Louis-Jacques. Get the energy drink that's delicious and smooth with zero aftertaste. You can only order Edge Energy Drink at myedgedrink.com. That's myedgedrink.com. PPR, Draft, Keeper, Dynasty. It's the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Keep up with your fantasy football teams by visiting any of the 8 great Sports Grill locations. Sports Grill, good food, good drink, good friends. Here's Scott Pianowski.
Yeah. There it is. He is ready to go. I hope you all are ready to go. Get your fantasy football questions ready for Scott Pianowski. Send them in on our Welt and Rayom text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. Right now on the chat board, you got fantasy football questions. Send them in right now. We can see them right in front of us. And, of course, follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski and catch his exceptional work there at Yahoo, my friend. And Tom Brady. That's not looking good over there in Tampa Bay. Fantasy-wise, it was okay last night. But, boy, man, that situation's ugly over there, Scotty.
Yeah, it's not a good year for veteran quarterbacks, right? I mean, hang on, let me plug in my head. Okay. We're good. Not a good year for veteran quarterbacks. I mean, Brady, Rodgers, Russell Wilson's struggling. The league-wide, it's a problem, but we thought these were safe harbors, right? I mean, we thought Tampa Bay, even if they took a step back, Brady would throw for 4,500. He'd throw for 38 touchdowns, what he always does. Rodgers is pointing out people in Green Bay. I'm not looking forward to waking up early and watching Russell Wilson play against Jacksonville this week. And this is why, between the quarterback play being so frustrating and the usage being splintered. Teams use multiple running backs. Teams use third and fourth receivers. Sometimes they use 2 tight ends. It's been a really difficult fantasy season because there aren't that many things we can hang our hat on as being consistent week over week. And Tampa Bay is one of the teams that is frustrating us, but they have a lot of company on that bus.
Oh, dude, this is why every year, right as the season's about to start, I get people that say, let's play the schedule game. And I always tell them, I don't play that bullshit because you cannot predict what teams are going to be, and then when you think all of a sudden they're going to be great, well, then all of a sudden they're going to be bad. The AFC West was going to have all 4 teams in the playoffs, according to people. It's like, oh my God, that division is amazing. Well, guess what? The Raiders and the Broncos will not even sniff the playoffs when it's all said and done. The Eagles, did anybody have them 6-0? The Vikings, did anybody have them 5-1? And the Packers 3-4? The Falcons are leading the NFC South right now. Did anybody have Geno Smith and the Seahawks leading the division and not the Rams? I mean, and the Cardinals are 3-4. I mean, it's just, you look around and it is so hard to go out there and predict the Jets. I know that they've gotten the breaks of playing all these backup quarterbacks, but they're still 5-2. Nobody had them 5-2. So to me, that's where it gets kind of crazy that people want to predict. And that's the great thing about this league, that once you think you've got it, bro, you get humbled right away. And look at the whole Tom Brady and Bucs situation. You thought they were going to be contenders? Dude, right now they're struggling to just get into the damn playoffs.
Yeah, very well said. I was having a really good year with my spread picks. I got creamed in week 7, went 1-4, worst week of the season. I actually did have the Eagles winning the NFC, and I had Minnesota winning their division. But
you have 6-0?
But Big O, we could talk for 3 hours about stuff I got wrong.
Yeah.
I thought Russell Wilson was going to win the breakup. I thought Seattle was going to be terrible. I thought both New York teams. I thought Brian Dable would make them a little bit better, like 5-12, 6-11, right? They're 6-1 right now. I certainly didn't have the Jets being the story that they are.
And we all did the same thing, Scott. Most of us thought the same kind of things that you did. That's why I tell people, don't play the damn schedule game.
Right. Your takeaway is really strong, and I agree with you. When people say in August, I'm going to take such and such a running back because look at his December schedule. First of all, do you even know that running back will be healthy in December? Right. Who the heck knows? It's a position.
Will his line be healthy? Will his quarterback be healthy? Will his
who has the worst running game in the NFL right now by the advanced metrics? It's the Indianapolis Colts, who had the first overall pick in fantasy was Jonathan Taylor. They have the 32nd ranked running game in the league. That tells you all you need to know about it's a snow globe league. So what do? The way I frame it, and again, I'm totally with you. Don't look ahead too far. I say you play fantasy football with a microscope, not a telescope. Let's make the best week 8 decisions we can. Maybe look, there's 6 teams that don't play next week, so if you want to look ahead to week 9, I get it. Don't try to win week 15 now. Don't tell me who's playing who in December. I don't care. I'm trying to win this week, and I'm maybe trying to look ahead to next week because the bye week is really ugly. But you hit the nail on the head. We can't look too far ahead because it's a snow globe league, and the moment you have your footing on you, you're going to get sideswiped and you're going to be on your tail again. It's just the way the league works. It wasn't that long ago the Colts beat the Chiefs. How silly does that sound now? Can you imagine the Colts beating the Chiefs tomorrow? Because I can't, but that's the way the NFL works.
And the Panthers beat the Bucs last week.
Sure.
Crazy.
Look really good doing it. You watch that game, you would have thought Carolina was the 10-point favorite, not Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa, man, that is it's a shaky thing that's going on with them now. And Brady, I think a lot of the issues Brady is having personally has kind of rolled into it. All right, so the first 3 weeks, he was a QB1. Last week, you probably don't consider him a QB1 coming back after 24 days off. Is Tua a QB1 facing that Detroit Lions defense this week, and Armstead back for a second week in a row now?
Yeah, I got to consider Tua in the circle of trust. Obviously, Hill and Waddle command so many targets there, and Mostert's been good, but the running game, it's not like they're going to just run all over Detroit and not throw the ball. I think Tua's comfortably in the start cut line this week.
Okay. Now, in that game, you do have something going on against Miami, and you've got Khalif Raymond. I read your article. And for those of you, you should go check out Yahoo and check out all the articles. Scott and Andy and all the guys, they write a whole bunch of stuff throughout the week. But Khalif Raymond was a guy that you thought maybe some kind of an option this week against the Dolphins for the Lions.
I mean, look, we're scraping for guys, right? I mean, you may have lost Jamar Chase. You may not have the Chargers this week, and Mike Williams is going to be out for a while. Injury is always a big part of fantasy football, and Raymond's been solid for the last 3 weeks. We don't know what version of St. Brown we're going to get. Josh Reynolds has not played well. Hawkinson only has one good game on the season. We're not sure if Swift is going to play yet. This is, look, ideally, I hope you don't have to play Khalif Raymond, but some of us are dipping outside the top 40 for a receiver this week between injuries and buys, and I'm playing him on a couple of teams. I also think Tyler Boyd, a guy who usually isn't started, okay, but with Chase being out, Boyd's getting 5 to 7, 5 to 8 targets a week anyway. That's going to bump up to probably 7 to 10 targets against Cleveland on Monday. So maybe Tyler Boyd is an answer. If you're really looking deep, Donovan Peoples-Jones is the third probably option that Cleveland passing game. Even Harrison Bryant, you may have lost Njoku. Tight end is just so ugly right now. Harrison Bryant did win a Mackey Award in college, right? Of course, he was a 1,000-yard receiver in college. You almost never see that from a tight end. I think he might catch 4 to 6 passes. We're so desperate, Big O, this year for tight end production. I'm willing to play Taysom Hill, knowing he'll play like 13 snaps because he might score a touchdown, right? And how crazy is it that the Saints have 20 offensive touchdowns? Alvin Kamara has 0. But when they get in close, they like to punch it in with Hill. I know if you watch a Saints game, he's on the sidelines most of the day. But when they get in those short yardage packages, Taysom Hill's the number they like to call. And that's what we're doing at tight end, right? A lot of people are struggling at that position. There's been injuries. There's been players, they can't get Kyle Pitts going in Atlanta. They fall behind 21 points and still don't want to throw the ball. How crazy was that? So we're playing a guy like Taysom Hill with a level of confidence because he has touchdown equity.
All right, you got some questions? Let's go. Send them in. You can send them in on our Welt and Rayom text line. Easy way for me to follow them on the text line at 855-912-1056. I'm looking at the YouTube chat board right now. You can send them in there. Twitter at Big O Show. I will also check there. Let's see. I got a trade proposed to me, says Tyler. James Robinson, Evans, Jacoby Myers, and I give up Walker, DK, and Mostert. I have Michael Carter as well.
No, Walker's a league winner. You're not getting. I don't think Robinson's going to be anything special. I didn't hear the right names coming back. Here's my Kenneth Walker trade rule. If it's not an obvious yes, you're saying no. And by the way, he gets the Giants this week. They are horrible against the run. The defense isn't good anyway, but they're averaging like 5.7 yards a carry against. Kenneth Walker is going to go ballistic against those guys.
Okay. Sage McKinley is asking trade questions. Should I trade Cordarrelle Patterson for Donta Freeman and Antonio Wilson?
I know you have to wait for Patterson, but the backs have kind of been ordinary without him. Actually, they have a good running game and they want to run the ball. I think Patterson's worth waiting for.
Okay. Yo Dudis says I'm injured and bye-plagued. Jermichael Hasty, Peoples-Jones, or Devontae Parker for my flex.
Peoples-Jones by default. I get why Hasty's on your roster. He's now the new number 2 behind ETN, and they probably don't want to use ETN more than maybe 15 touches a game, but that may mean 3 to 5 carries for Hasty. I play Peoples-Jones by default.
All right. Razzle Dazzle Crypto is asking flex spot. Brandon Cooks or Paris Campbell. Tight end spot. Kyle Pitts or Dalton Schultz.
Because I've seen so little of Schultz, I think Pitts is still your answer there. I know it's not satisfying. And I would play Cooks. Paris Campbell's been really good the last 2 weeks, but they moved down to Ellinger, and I think they're going to run the ball a lot. He's going to be a running quarterback. I just don't know who he's going to be comfortable with and how often they're going to throw the ball. The only thing saving Matt Ryan was the volume of the passing game. It certainly wasn't the efficiency. I know Campbell has those juicy double-digit target games to fall back on the last 2 weeks, but with a new quarterback, and we're talking about a 6th-round pick, it's not like they're downshifting to their 1st-round pick, their pedigree quarterback. This is a guy who they're kind of taking a flyer on because they don't trust Matt Ryan anymore. Because of that, I would have to play Cooks.
We got something wrong. Tyler Myers corrected me here. It's not Waller. It's not Walker. It's Darren Waller. Okay, so it is. I got a trade proposal: James Robinson, Evans, Jacoby Myers, and giving up Waller, DK, and Mostert.
It's an even trade. I'd probably prefer the first side because you're trading away from the injured Metcalf. You don't know when he's going to come back. It's a trade you don't have to do. It's a trade you could do. I'd probably rather have the healthier group, and that's the group you're getting. Although Robinson, I need to see a game with him in New York before I play him. I wouldn't play him this week.
Apologies, Tyler. Sorry about that. All right.
I should have known too that a trade like that had Kenneth Walker in it wouldn't make sense anyway.
Yeah,
So.
my fault. With Mahomes on a bye week, start Daniel Jones or Mariota is asking.
Yeah, Daniel, both quarterbacks you're playing hoping they run the ball, but I think Jones is a better runner, and I think Jones might have a little bit more going in his receiver room. I know it's ugly, but Wan'Dale Robinson did some nice things last week, and 2 of the last 3 weeks, Slayton has showed up. Seattle doesn't have a good defense. I think that'll be one of the higher scoring games of the week. So the bottom line is Brian Daboll, I think, has a modicum of trust in Daniel Jones, and I think he'll probably end up getting a deal done. I know they didn't pick up his option this year. I think the way Arthur Smith calls plays, it's screaming to you he does not trust Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. Well, I think he's trying. What I think he's trying to do is, I've seen this before. When you don't trust a quarterback to throw a lot because he'll eventually get in trouble, you try to run the ball. You try high percentage passes, a lot of running backs, a lot of tight ends involved, those kind of things. Outside the numbers, those risks aren't taken nearly as much. I'm a Dolphins fan, so I've seen this because I've seen the mediocre quarterback come through here and the coach that is afraid to really open it up with those kind of guys. And that's kind of what I feel with Mariota, that he's trying to play to Mariota's strengths, which is more along the lines of running and trying to keep that short range, quick passing game going on.
A lot of teams doing that. That's what Chicago's doing with Justin Fields, right? Who's
but
fantasy. He's become fantasy viable because he runs the ball so much.
Right.
Zach Wilson is athletic, but he's not really a passer right now. I mean, obviously the Giants have to run a specified offense for Daniel Jones, although I think he's been let down by his receivers. I think Jones has actually played pretty well.
He has actually. He's proven me, or he's on the road to proving me wrong. He's played much better quarterback than he ever has in his career, which, again, that's a credit to the new coach who did a marvelous job in Buffalo developing the other quarterback. So, yeah, I'm with you. And I didn't have a lot of hope for Daniel Jones, bro. Ever since I saw him at the Senior Bowl and watched him in the ACC, I was never impressed with Daniel Jones. But you are so right. He's been a good quarterback who's been let down by his offense this year. No doubt.
And finally, he's got a little bit going with Robinson, Slayton, so we can point to that. And again, the Seattle Giants game is one of the highest totals of the week, so we can proactively play into that game. Daniel Jones. I mean, I dropped Russell Wilson for Daniel Jones in a league. Think about that. I mean, that would sound silly. This shows the NFL out of context. If I told you in August, yeah, you could draft Russell Wilson, just be prepared to drop him for Daniel Jones in the middle of the season, you would have laughed me off the air. But that's where we are right now.
I'm unfollowing Pianowski.
Yeah,
I'm not freaking listening to this podcast anymore. That guy's a fool. He's going to take Daniel Jones over Russell Wilson. Get the hell out of here. 8 months later, oh shit, he was right. So it's
crazy. Well, I was wrong on Russell Wilson. I thought Russell Wilson was going to be great in Seattle, and obviously that ship has sailed.
I thought, I thought Russell Wilson was going to be good, but my problem with Russell going there was I didn't think his team was that good, so he was going to have to be extraordinary Russell, and he hasn't been able to be extraordinary Russell.
He needs an athletic component to his game and a running component to his game, and he doesn't have it right now, and not confident. And by the way, when we talked about all the veteran quarterbacks struggling, somehow I left Matthew Stafford off that list. Maybe it's because the Rams didn't play last week.
Right.
I've said there's only 3 things that Matthew Stafford doesn't trust: his secondary receivers, his offensive line, and his elbow. Other than that, everything's groovy. And now they play the Niners again. We'll see if the Niners defense is healthy on Sunday. Obviously, the last time they played, the 49ers controlled that game, and Kyle Shanahan, last year's playoffs accepted, has pretty much owned this matchup, a game that both teams need desperately. And also, as much as we laugh about the Panthers, we laugh about the Falcons, the winner of that game will be in first place in the NFC South with a lousy record. But, that may be 8 wins, may win that division.
That is a disgusting division. All right, if you got questions, send them in on the Welt and Rayom text line, 855-912-1056. Wherever you're watching, man, just send us a text, and you can ask the question to Scott Pianowski from Yahoo Sports. We've got Cooper or Sutton.
A weak vote to Cooper. You can't trust either quarterback, but I feel like Cooper's get a more reliable market share and maybe just a little bit more touchdown equity. And I just don't want to – it's not like Jacoby Brissett makes me confident, but I just don't want to get tied to Russell Wilson right now if I can avoid it.
All right. Tony Pollard this week. If Zeke is out, how much do you like him this week? Because obviously he's got to be a handcuff for a lot of people. And then I don't know what's the percentage of him still being out there. I don't imagine it's a lot, but what do you like about Tony Pollard this week?
You have to, if you roster Pollard, he has to be in your starting lineup because either Zeke's not going to play or Zeke's going to be limited. Pollard's going to be their touch guy, and look at the efficiency. I mean, what's he 5.8 a carry or something, 6 yards a carry? I mean, he's popping off the screen. And I realize people will say, well, Zeke has he has a harder job. He carries the ball more. He carries between the tackles. I get it. It's a little bit of like a starting pitcher versus a relief pitcher where you expect the relief pitcher to have the lower ERA because he's only pitching an inning. It's a little bit like that, but Tony Pollard can handle 15 or 20 touches, and the Bears defense is ordinary. And Stevenson had a good game against them last week, even though the Patriots didn't do much as a team. If you have Pollard anywhere, you're going to play him. And if Zeke is ruled out, I think Pollard ends up being, and every fantasy analyst will say this for you. I mean, he's a top 5 back if Zeke's out. But even if Zeke plays, I can't see him getting a lot of work.
I know there's a lot of injuries and bye weeks, but how much does Pittman's value get crushed because of Ellinger?
I mean, we just don't know if Ellinger has any rapport with anybody. I mean, maybe him and Alec Pierce have run reps on the second team or something. And that, we know they have like 17 tight ends on that roster. They throw to their running backs a lot. They throw to Taylor. They throw to Hines. When both of those guys were out, they were throwing to Deion Jackson. So there's no way of knowing if Ellinger has one guy. Some of you see this with the backup quarterback. He'll click with the backup receiver or something like that. Pittman certainly takes a hit. He dropped down a level for me. He was like a top 12 receiver for me with Ryan. Not that I liked Ryan, but at least there's a certain amount of stability there. I've dropped him to maybe wide receiver 21, wide receiver 23, something like that. You probably have to play him. If you're not playing Pittman, you must have a really great receiver room. You just unfortunately have to drop him a level. I know that's not a very satisfying answer, but that's where we are with the Colts.
Big D says, picked up Goodwin to replace DK. Any other wideouts on the waiver wire to look at?
Yeah, I like that. That's one of the best ones I can think of. I mentioned Boyd earlier in shallow leagues.
And
maybe
Peoples-Jones?
Maybe Slayton or Robinson and the Giants. Peoples-Jones could be a guy you could add. Khalif Raymond, one of the Patriots, perhaps. I know Mac Jones is starting again, and that gives everybody no confidence. But some of the guys I'm looking at. But Goodwin's probably as good as anybody because they're not going to have Metcalf, it sounds like, and Geno Smith. This is the crazy thing. All these quarterbacks we can't trust, and Geno Smith is a safe harbor. I mean, who saw that coming? I certainly didn't see it coming. We didn't even know if he'd be the starter, and it's not like I like Drew Lock, but we didn't know who would start on opening day. And when Geno Smith started, we all thought, well, he's got a short leash. If he does anything wrong, they might make a change. Geno Smith has become somebody we can trust.
I know. Good for him because he's actually a good dude.
He is.
And we already gave up on him.
It ran bad for him. A teammate punched him. He broke his jaw. Yeah. I feel like if you simulated his career like 1,000 times, he got one of the worst runouts, right? He's like, sometimes you're playing poker and you got your opponent crushed and they hit a one-outer on you. I feel like the NFL hit a one-outer on Geno Smith. He should have had a good career, maybe not a Hall of Fame career, but a good career. And a lot of things went wrong. I'm just happy to see him have his moment. And whatever. He's not going to win MVP or anything. Seattle will probably make the playoffs and lose in the first week. But by all accounts, Geno Smith's a good guy. He's hung in there. He stayed humble, and I'm happy to see him succeeding. And man, Seattle's offense. I was joking in week 1. Get the Broncos defense. They're gonna, Russ is gonna win 33-6. Couldn't have been more wrong on that. But at least I got some Kenneth Walker shares. I got some Geno, and Seattle right now looks like a playoff team.
It's what I'm laughing because. You, me, most of America that has watched Geno Smith are like, yeah, whatever. That's nothing. Oh, Seattle's going to start. Oh, they're tanking. And I bet inside the building, they were like, yeah, we're not going to win a lot of games. We're going to have a great draft because we'll have high picks and all that. And that by them starting Geno Smith, they weren't thinking either winning record. So Geno Smith has not just proven us wrong. I think he proved even Seattle management and coaches wrong that he's done better than they even expected and won more games than they even expected to win. I got to be honest, because it looked to me like Seattle was headed for an absolute tank job this year.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be a 4-win team. What the famous screenwriter William Goldman said about Hollywood, nobody knows anything, and that's the NFL.
Amen.
Look at last year's draft class, right?
Amen.
Trevor Lawrence, jury's still out. Zach Wilson looks like he can't play. Trey Lance, we have no idea. Justin Fields is a work in progress. Mac Jones is taking a major step back. This was supposed to be one of these generational, once-a-decade draft classes. I'm not sure anybody's good.
I know. It's crazy. All right, Scotty, tell them about Yahoo Sports. What are you doing this weekend as you get everybody ready for Sunday, my friend?
Sure. Thursday, we came out with the sleeper pieces. You mentioned Khalif Raymond, who was part of that. I picked the games today. Let's hope we do better than Week 7, although 24-11 on the year. We'll take that. Sunday, Fantasy Football Live, the final hour before kickoff in that 1 o'clock window. Andy and friends will be doing the webcast. I'll be handling the Yahoo Fantasy account, so if we didn't get your question today, you can get it there, and we'll obviously have more answers with the injury report. And then Sunday night for Monday morning, I'll be doing a podcast with Matt Harmon where we do all our reactions from every NFL Sunday is crazy. We'll go over what happened, who got hurt, who played well, how everything recalibrates, do it all over again. Let's get you a win. Let's get the Dolphins a win in Detroit. And just keep your head down, keep grinding, man. You gave the best advice you could give, which is look at what's in front of you. Do not try to win a month from now because it's going to look silly. And a month from now, who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about Aaron Rodgers' comeback. I don't know. I mean, the stories will be different. The trade deadline's coming up. The NFL trade deadline is no longer a dud, right?
Right.
We've already seen some big trades. The Eagles made a big trade for Quinn. McCaffrey's been traded. Robinson's been traded. It used to be the NFL trade deadline was like you could just take a nap. You wouldn't miss anything. But now things are going to happen, so we have to pay attention to that as well. A lot going on. It's moving time. Keep grinding, and let's get you in the playoffs.
Follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski and catch his exceptional work along with Andy Behrens, our bookend tackles, our fantasy football bookend tackles. And you can catch him there at Yahoo Sports. Scotty, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you big time.
Great to talk to you, Big O. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Scott Pianowski getting it done. Yahoo Sports. That's a little fantasy football. All right, give us 2 minutes, and then we'll come back with Manny Navarro. We'll talk a little Canes as they get ready for Virginia right here on the Big O Radio Show live from Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
You've been listening to the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Go to sportsgrill.com to find a great location near you. Fantasy football fans, subscribe to the Big O Radio Show on YouTube and all other platforms to catch up with all our fantasy football insight provided by Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens. Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at Caneswear.com or InnerMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro. Exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
All right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. How you feeling, my man?
Hey, listen, I'm feeling surprised and shocked still that Mario Cristobal was able to pull a 5-star recruit out of Lakeland High School. I think everybody thought.
In the gridiron, you thought he was gone.
Yeah.
Brockway, relax. He's going to Florida.
Yep. So did Ira, by the way. Ira Chaffel. He said the same thing. We both were convinced it was a done deal. So. Shows you how good Mario is at recruiting, right?
Yeah, no, he kind of knows a little some, about recruiting. And, when you look at his situation right now. Okay. Sorry, you got to position the mic because then I'm
sure
in my neck. So you look at what is going on the recruiting side. Obviously, he's making an impact there. And you look at what's going on the coaching side. What's he got to do to get better play? Because let me tell you something. This game terrifies the crap out of me, and it makes no sense that the talent that you supposedly recruited over the years here, the last couple of years, is supposed to struggle against all these kind of teams. So what do you do to kind of bring up a little bit more of the trust on that side that we have in recruiting right now?
Well, I don't know what you can do, man. I mean, you kind of have the same players, right? Let's not forget, Miami lost to Virginia at home last year. So it shouldn't probably be a surprise if Virginia beats Miami tomorrow, as bad as they've been. They got the same record at 3-4, got the same quarterback, Brendan Armstrong, the same set of receivers that terrorized them last year. So, look, man, like I get it. People are upset about the record. They want it to be better. It should be better. You shouldn't be losing to Duke and Middle Tennessee State. But I got to remind people, this is what Miami's been. When you are a mediocre 7-5, 8-4, 6-6 program, you're only a couple plays away from being 3-9. It's not it's not that much of a drop off. And I think, unfortunately, there's so many injuries to key players, guys that they were counting on to be number ones, and it just shows you their lack of depth. And so, I think, unfortunately for Mario, this is just not a very good team. I have a friend who went out to practice earlier this week, watched them for the first time in a couple years, said this might be one of the worst Hurricanes teams I've seen.
Okay, and so, I don't know, did you read Michelle Kaufman's article today?
The one today or a couple days ago? The one where she says Mario just needs to dance?
I think I've read it today. It says, since beating UM 45-31, Middle Tennessee State has lost to Texas San Antonio 41-14 and UAB 35-17. Duke, the Hurricanes, beat Duke by a combined score of 95-10 the previous two seasons under former coach Diaz. Duke went 3-9 last season, lost all 8 ACC games. The Blue Devils lost 47-10 and 62-22 to Louisville and 48-17 to Virginia Tech and all that, and goes on. It's no wonder why they were dancing Saturday when they beat the Hurricanes under the direction of Mike Elko. He was not the first-year coach for Duke, but he had no head coaching experience when he took the job. And so now Lincoln Riley took over a 4-8 Southern Cal team, and the Trojans are 6-1. Sonny Dykes inherited a 5-7 team at TCU and has them undefeated so far. I did this for you guys, remember, in the gridiron, that I went around and I pointed at teams that have had turnarounds, and that is one argument that Mario cannot win.
Oh, of course.
Nobody can defend.
No.
I can't defend I've done this, and now I saw Michelle do it, and it's just one of those things that while recruiting is that's why I kind of told you about the coaching side, because while recruiting is fantastic, we have to say that you're not going to get a good overall grade for your coaching this year.
No, listen, that's all more than fair criticism, right? Like, the other guys got better results than with this same group of players than the ones from this year. So you can't defend that. Now, look, people call me a Mario apologist. They're like, that I'm defending him way too much. I'm not apologizing. I'm telling you about college football. I've studied this enough over the last 25 years to have an opinion that I feel is strong, and that's there really isn't much that separates, again, 8-4 and 4-8. I really don't think there is. It's a couple of plays per game. It's a couple of players. And I think ultimately here, whether Miami goes 4-8 or rallies and all of a sudden, finishes the year 6-6 or 7-5 and goes to a bowl game, it's not going to matter. The results are going to be shitty. We're still going to be sitting here talking about how bad Mario did here and how bad this team is. And ultimately, you have to think big picture when you look at this team and this program. It's been this way for a long time. It's just been this way for a long time. That one season with Mark Richt where they won 10 games was the outlier. That's the outlier. The real Miami is what we're seeing now. The real Miami is what we're seeing when they lost 58-0 to Clemson. That was the real Miami. Okay, that's what they have devolved to. And so whether or not you beat Duke or Middle Tennessee State or lose to FIU or lose to Louisiana, it's like that's what's happened. That's the area. That's the team that you are now. And for Mario to get out of it, he's going to have to recruit at this level. It's the only way things change. The players, they're only capable of so much. And I think that's why I've always felt that what Miami needed was a recruiter. They needed a guy who was going to come in here and get special players, because if you tell these guys, hey, go out there and win with football IQ, go out there and win with scheme, they're not going to beat you.
Right.
I mean, Rhett Lashley's offense last year, right? It averaged 31 points a game. Is that good? It's just better than what these guys are. It doesn't mean it's good. Tennessee's averaging 50 points a game, right? Ohio State's averaging 48 points a game. Alabama scoring, Georgia scoring in those. And so if you want to be elite, if you really want to get to where you need to go, you almost have to tear everything down, which is what I think Mario has done. He's basically let it burn, right? He's kind of added gasoline and said, okay, guys, let's see which one of you have the DNA that I want to be a part of this long term. And when you sign a 10-year contract, you have the flexibility to do that, to come in here and just be like, well, let's see what these guys are really made of. And if they can't win the way that I want them to play, or they can't adapt to the way I want them to play, I'll just get rid of them and we'll start over. And I think that's why I don't sit here and start criticizing them. Well, they lost to Duke and they lost to Middle Tennessee State. Yeah, it's not good. But what if they beat them? Would we still be sitting here saying this is a good team or this is a good program? Right? Like if they beat those teams by 1 point, would anything be different?
Yeah, I think people would feel a little better about the team because there's more wins on the board, and wins make you feel good, and it makes you feel good. Like, okay, so when you get better talent, you'll do better than what you're doing now. But if you don't do well with what you have, I'm just talking optics.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Listen,
I understand you got to give him some time. I understand he's got to turn over the roster and all of that. But when you have shortcomings with any roster, then people will worry about shortcomings even with the loaded roster.
Sure, and that's a fair argument.
Yeah, it's the optics is all I'm saying. He's dealing with some bad optics right now, and he's
of course.
And in the next 4 games that are left, he's got to do something at least to change those optics and get people feeling better that he can get. In other words, I think that what is going on out there is most people feel that Mario and his staff have not maximized whatever they have there in Coral Gables.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, it should be better than what it is right now. That's what people think.
Okay, and the guys that were here before him maximized it, and what did they do?
No, I know.
That's my argument.
No, I get it, but it's a first step for a new coach.
Yes, but I think there's a different perspective. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think he came in here saying to himself, I'm not going to worry so much about the record this first year, right? Like, I think, yes, you obviously try to win games. I'm not saying he's throwing games. I think for him, it's more, are these guys part of my long-term solution? Can I trust them? Can I ask them to do what I want them to do, to play a physical running style, to stay responsible on defense and not blow assignments off and go play hero ball? Well, let's see. Let's throw them out there. Let's give them the canvas and let them paint the picture. And what have those guys done? They haven't been able to play the physical style after getting their, physically beat down in the Texas A&M game. And, he let Tyler Van Dyke throw the football the last couple of weeks. He had success, but they scored 20 points. Oh, I mean, to me, it's like at a certain point you have to realize, and I respect Michelle. We worked together for many, many years. But I thought her column is off base because she doesn't talk enough about do they have the kind of players that they need to win. And to me, the answer is no. I think that's been obvious for the last 20 years. I don't know how much more proof you need. And to me, you also don't dance unless you're winning. Like I understand why Mario's pissed off all the time because he's not happy. Like how can you smile and dance and have any fun?
Yeah, I don't want him like Manny's players in a loss dancing on the sideline. I'm glad Mario's. He should be pissed. He should be pissed. Right. But I think I understand what you're saying, and then I understand what Michelle is saying because what Michelle is writing about is the optics. Like you should not be getting manhandled by Middle Tennessee. Those are things like, really, dude, you're going to get your ass kicked by Middle Tennessee?
Sure.
That doesn't make sense. And I think that's what it is that, are you maximizing what you have right now?
And they're not, but I also think that his philosophy is I want them to play my way. And if they're not going to play my way because they've got these bad habits and this is who these guys are, I think he could have very easily, from the moment he got here, said we're not going to try to run the football because we don't have the offensive line to do it. We've lost X amount of running backs to injuries. We don't have the guys who can do it. And what did he do? No, we're going to try to run the football. We're going to try to play my way. And he cost himself the Texas A&M game for that, right? Instead of just cutting it loose and letting a guy.
So is that good coaching or is that bad coaching?
I think what that is long-term coaching. I think it's a guy who's saying, to me...
Those aren't people that are here long-term. These kids are gone in 2 years.
Right, but he also has... He's also playing guys that are young and second and third-year players. He's also playing guys that still have eligibility left, right? I mean, you don't know if somebody can do something unless you give them that opportunity, right? And you let them play. So I think he came in with his idea, this is the way we want to play, this is the way we want to operate. And the players just haven't been able to adapt to the way he wants to do it. Now, he could have changed his strategy and just said, we're going to maximize and do it the old way. But doing the old way got him to 7-5, dude. Like, doing the old way hasn't worked. And I think, he's basically learned what he's needed to learn through these first 7 games, that the majority of this roster isn't going to be able to play the way that he wants to play, right? And when you come in and you got a 10-year contract and this is about the long haul, you can use year one as almost a preseason, right? Like, this is the time to see what these guys are made of. And, we'll see if he changes his strategy, how important reaching a bowl game is for him, over the next couple of weeks. But I'll tell you, anybody who sits here and says this is just coaching, they got that wrong. It's not just coaching.
Some of it is coaching. There's no doubt in my mind some of it is coaching. Some of it is definitely talent. So let me ask you, how are the players in the locker room? What is the attitude? What is the feeling? Because as losses mount and things don't work out and players get benched, you usually start to have some stuff that festers.
Yeah, there's been fights.
I'm wondering what is festering, if anything is festering, that you know of in that football locker room.
Well, I think what's festering for some guys is frustration, right? Some of the guys want more playing time. They don't like splitting playing time with guys that they don't think are putting forth the effort. Some of the same stuff Manny Diaz was dealing with last year through that 2-4 start, right? Where guys had to ultimately get run off, and you had that kind of stuff go on. The way I look at it, I think Mario is almost enjoying this process of bleeding things out and letting guys in the locker room deal with their with each other type of deal.
He looks like he has a bleeding ulcer at the podium. What are you talking about, bro?
I'm talking about the process in the locker room. I'm talking about letting the kids kind of work out their drama. You're asking me what's going on in the locker room. That's what I mean. Like, I think that part of it, he said that on Monday. It's kind of like, yes, this hurts and this sucks, but I think there is a process of, hey, we're tearing it down to the shreds to see what we can use. And I think that part of it he does enjoy because he is rebuilding this thing. So I just think, man, look, in the end, this is year one. I get it. You don't like the offensive play calling. A lot of people don't like the offensive play calling.
That's the one guy I'm not happy with is Gaddis. I'm not impressed at all by Gaddis.
And he may not be here next year. And Mario changes coordinators frequently and coaches frequently. So if that's one of the moves he has to make, he will. And it's part of the process. But I think, look, man, like I like the fact that they're recruiting as well as they are. That's a super promising sign. The fact that they're not losing recruits, the fact that kids are bought in. And I think the most important period is going to be December to June for this program, because that's going to be the time when he's running guys off and bringing new blood in here via the transfer portal, via high school recruiting. And there's going to be a major roster turnover, and we'll see which guys actually stay here. I think there's going to be 30 to 35 guys on this team right now, at least, who won't be here next year, whether it's because they run out of eligibility or because they transfer and head out. At least.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Catch his work at The Athletic. What's the prediction? Do they win tomorrow?
No, I told you on Tuesday night I'm not picking them to win another game this year. I'm taking off the expectations. And look, Virginia beat them last year, and they won last week, so they got a little more confidence. They're at home. I think Virginia wins 20-10.
Man, it's pain. That's Clubber Lang pain.
Could be 13-10, something like that, but I don't think there'll be a lot of points.
Still painful. Either way.
Yeah.
A loss is a loss.
It is.
Yeah, it is. All right, follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Manny, have a great weekend outside of watching the UM lose, and we'll catch up with you next Tuesday.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Bye.
There you go, Manny Navarro. He'll be back Tuesday night for the state of Florida Gridiron Roundtable, along with Ira Schofel from War Chan and Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. That is your Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
For For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty, we're back, and we thank Manny Navarro, as always, coming to you live from beautiful Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Come on out here, man. Check out the folks. Brand new vehicles, certified pre-owned vehicles. They do a great job, and their service center is absolutely second to none. Don't forget, Sloman's Home Shield is a proud sponsor of our program. We've been talking about Sloman's for a long time now. Going into our second year. My man Sean, by the way, has his home protected by Sloman's, and so do I. And right now, folks, you can get yourself a free doorbell camera. You'll be the first 40 Big O listeners, and you will get a free doorbell camera, folks. Really, really easy to do. All you got to do is go to 1-800-ALARM-ME. Call my man right there, Alarmo, and get them in. We love it, and the great people out there at Sloman's. And, folks, when you use their professional installation and their low-cost central station monitoring, all right, we're going to give you an LED touchscreen pad, a motion detector, 3-arm doors, and a backup battery. But if you're one of the first 40 Big O listeners, you will get that free doorbell camera. 1-800-ALARM-ME, and you will feel safe, and you will love that doorbell camera. 1-800-ALARM-ME for the Sloman's Home Shield. All right. Jamar Chase is going to miss with the hip injury somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 6 weeks. He is now in the middle of his second season, and I hope he misses half a week and he comes back. Okay? Not wishing any injury on anybody. It already happened, but what I want to do is talk about his injury and put it in perspective to something else that goes on to him. And so he misses, on average, 2 games a year. Might have missed a third last year because of Flo didn't play him because he's an idiot, but he could have played. So Jamar Chase, if this hip injury forces him to miss 6 games, he will then miss the same amount of games that Tua Tagovailoa has missed in his career. Right around the same. So, because, again, narratives. Oh, he's always injured, this, that, and they make it sound like he's missing half a season all the time. And it's only a couple games. So I just want you to, keep it in perspective when you see this stuff and don't lose your mind. If the young man helps you win all the time, and let's say you're going to play him 15 out of 17 games, and if you're going to win 10 or 11 of those games, then you're going to be a playoff team constantly. And if somehow or another you can play all 17, because it's funny because people then, he comes back from this concussion, and then writers are writing, TV talking heads. I don't even know about local radio, but whatever. Maybe some of the local radio guys, like, well, how long is he going to last? Is he going to be around for the whole year? And it's like, they make it sound like he misses the entire season all the time. On average, he's missed 2 games. I wish he would miss none, but unfortunately, the way he plays, he's going to put himself at risk, and it sucks. But I just want you to take it into perspective. That when you look at the Jamar Chase injury, you know, it's an overreaction when it comes to Tua. So there's no overreaction for Jamar Chase, but all the overreaction for Tua. Crazy stuff. And Tom Brady and Giselle, you saw they made their divorce final. Is there any doubt that Tom Brady completely screwed up this year? He screwed up by not listening to his wife's ultimatum. He screwed up by thinking he has something to prove. He screwed up because he thinks he needs this. And you're basically just hanging on to the end of your career now. And you feel like right now, look at your team. You lost again last night. You've lost 3 in a row. First time since 2002, he's lost 3 in a row. You now look like Joe Namath in a Rams uniform. You now look like Muhammad Ali holding on to a career and taking on punches when you don't have to. You look like Sugar Ray Leonard fighting too much and getting knocked down by some guy named Tony or something. We've seen those athletes over time, right? Willie Mays in a Mets uniform. It happens. Ben Roethlisberger last year. Drew Brees 2 years ago, right? It was for Drew Brees. You just don't know when to say when. And Tom Brady actually physically looks better than all those guys I talked about. But the results aren't there. You took 11 days off in the middle of training camp. You did not show and have not shown the same kind of commitment to football and your team, and they know it. So you screwed up because you weren't willing to commit to your relationship and your family. You chose football, who happens to be, I was telling my wife, he loves football more than he loves Giselle. There's no doubt about it. You have 7 championships. The second you won in Tampa Bay, you probably didn't even need to play the second year. You probably should have walked right out into the sunset. What do you have to prove? And so your maniacal ways of trying to prove people wrong or whatever it is, hanging on to whatever you have left, has now ruined your personal life. And guess what? It bled into what you love the most, your professional life. So luckily for him, he's in one of the worst divisions in football. So they have a chance to at least overcome the divisional part. They don't look like a team that's going to make a run in the Super Bowl or the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl. But stranger things have happened. But listen, divorce is, I don't laugh at anybody or anything in a divorce. I have friends and colleagues, and that's shattering stuff, man. I don't wish it on anybody unless somebody's just evil that you're married to, and then I'm happy for you that you got away from that person. But this is not an evil thing. I think this was just a irresponsible thing by Tom Brady, hanging on to something he didn't need to hang on to. And you know how I'd say Tua doesn't need to prove to us that he's tough? I wish he would learn that. Tom Brady doesn't need to prove anything anymore, dude. Once you won with Tampa Bay, you proved. You already had the nail in the coffin on being the GOAT. I don't know what else goes on top of the coffin to seal it up, but you just added like another layer or whatever sealant that is to the coffin. Okay? You're the GOAT, bro. And Bill Belichick is clowning around with some guy named Zappy. So you're fine. It's kind of screwed up, man. It's kind of sad. And you know why I feel sad? Because I'm a divorced child. And I went through an ugly divorce between two parents, and it was not fun. It was not fun to be in the middle of it all and be used as the pawn for it all. So, and it, they say it's amicable and all that kind of stuff, but there's divorce, so there's going to be some animosity, and then the kids have to deal with it, and it's a shame. It's a real shame because the NFL didn't need Tom Brady this year, and Tom Brady didn't need the NFL. I hope something happens between him and Giselle, and after the season they come to their senses and whatever, and maybe they can get back together again or something. But it's kind of screwed up, and you can tell that he didn't fully commit either way, and that's what screwed up both things. Right? You're not fully committed to your relationship, gone. You're not fully committed to your team. You can't have it both ways, dude. And maybe that stuff about taking Wednesdays off was in the plans, and then after, no, we need to scrap that. Who knows? Jose Lucas, thank you for the love on the super chat, my friend. He says, can't wait when Tua beats Herbert again in L.A. I'm with you. I am with you. Do they play the Chargers this year? Oh, that's going to be fantastic. That's right. Okay. Well, when do they play the Chargers? What week is it? Rosendo says, agree with you, Big O, but sometimes it's hard for someone who has a passion to stop playing a game since he was born to quit. The passion took over his family's life. Sad. He had nothing to prove. Nothing. He was done. Done. Winning another title with the Bucs means something to the Bucs fans. In Brady's, career, the way you look at it, 7 or 8, 1 or 2 with Tampa, that doesn't matter. The fact that he left one team, went to another, and won a title, that's all you need to know right there on who he is. So it's sad. I feel for the kids because I went through it myself, and it's not fun. Anybody that's been through ugly divorces as kids, you know what I'm talking about. December 11th? Okay. So December 11th, Tua will go 2-0 against choking Herbert. I like it. I like it. All right. We are out of here. We thank Craig Mish, Ira Winderman, Joe Shad, Marcel Louis-Jacques, Scott Pianowski, Manny Navarro. Did we have enough guests today? Just a tad. Tomorrow, we're on at 10:30 in the morning, live from Walk-Ons in Kendall. They don't open till 11, so you can't show up till 11. We'll have giveaways, Perdomo cigars and Perdomo cigar cutters and lighters, hat too, Caneswear gift certificate. We're going to have taste testing from Edge Energy Drink, and a beer company is going to be there. Don't want to say the beer because not my business, but there'll be a beer company there. So come on out and join us in Kendall. Best way to watch the UM game is with us, having some fun. We give away prizes in every quarter. At the end of every quarter, we give away prizes. Can't beat that. Plus, we'll talk sports. We'll be hanging out throughout the game so we can chat, take pictures, whatever, have some fun. So come on out to Walk-Ons. We thank Sean Stanley, as always. Chad, Sean, of course, mastering everything on this platform, and we appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Mike McCoy, myself, Sean, maybe even Chad too, down the line as we get you ready for a little Canes and Virginia at 10:30. Y'all be good out there. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, same bat channel.